Beer nutties.
Is there any other way?
The podcast has evolved from...
I know. No, last time I was here, I was treated to sushi.
You know, from downing 7 beers.
Well, you don't need the liquid courage anymore, do you?
No.
No.
We brought that up on... a lot of people like, when did you start feeling comfortable?
I think, you have brought up a couple. I think I've listened to a couple of shows. Like, man, maybe that's how I should have started, with some alcohol.
Yeah. Nah,
6 shots. You should start a new segment where, depending on how many episodes you had, that's how many shots you take. So how many episodes are you guys on now? Like 120, 130?
What are we on, man?
This is going to be 116.
Oh, see, I knew it was around
Close.
that number.
115.
Close.
16 or 15.
Damn.
Can't remember. Because we've done them for a week now.
You just stopped counting after 100, eh?
But we went on we were trying to get up to 100 like late last year. Remember? And we did like two in a week.
Just trying to get that number up, eh?
Oh, we had a goal to get 100 by Christmas, or by New Year's. And I think we were at like 80 something, 81, 82, and I think it was just October. So
I think you messaged me about that. I think you messaged me about that too. It's like, I think I was asking like, what kind of episode you guys gave me for it? And he's like, I'm trying to get 100. 2 in one day. 2 episodes in one day. Oh, dude. Fuck. And here I am sitting with 29.
No, man. So how you been, man? How you feel anyway? How you feeling? How you feeling? Because
it's feeling natural.
Because you're back on the mic, behind the mics again.
I'm back on the mic.
Happy that you're back behind the mics on our show.
Well, I'd love to be back on the show. Happy to be back on your show. No, it's good. It's good. Feels natural. Feels like, yeah, I've definitely missed the podcast. I've been out of the game for like, I think I was telling you, I was probably like 4 months. Yeah. 4 months, something fucking ridiculous like that.
You said, you I didn't say you were Burton Barrett, but you said...
I'm on a sabbatical.
He was on a sabbatical.
I was on a sabbatical. And yeah, there's been quite a few changes in my life that's kind of impacted my usual, I guess, my hobbies, podcasting being one of them. And I couldn't commit, and then I was sort of weighing up, I want to do podcasting, but I don't have the time to look for guests. I'm a solo podcast, and I tried that solo episode once. Fucking horrible. Oh, trying to talk to yourself. It's stupid, dude. It's stupid.
No, there's no.
I did it once, again, like because I'm just one episode shy of 30, and I was going to do one episode with just myself, just doing updates, what Yash does, for those updates. And I was like...
Oh, he's good.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to copy what he's doing. But as soon as I press record, nah, fuck this. No, I'm just going to leave it as it is.
Do you think it's because... Do you feel like you're self-editing? Like, because you might... Because if you listen to Bill Burr's ones, I always listen to them because... And he just goes on daily, like, rants, see? And it's just funny. And he's just like... He's giving himself 45 minutes to just talk about whatever sport he's watched or whatever... But I think because of your point of view in that, you'd be perfect for that kind of thing because it's kind of out of the norm,
I guess so. But I guess people like Bill Burr and those comedians, I mean, they live for monologuing.
Yeah, that's right.
They just, that's their bread and butter. It doesn't take too much for Bill Burr to, I mean, thank you for comparing me to Bill Burr. But, but it's, I don't know, it's like in that whole sort of flow of thought that sort of, It can be good, but I think at the same time, if there's no, I guess, direction of where you're going. Because I guess Bill Burr's got like certain topics and then he kind of just rants over that, which they're very good at. But I think at that time I was, the one last time I was talking about just now, it was more about, didn't really know what to do. I guess I didn't know what to say. Because it was going to be like an episode of, I'm going on hiatus, a sabbatical, and, couldn't really say why. And mind you, all 20 people that listen to it are like, and? Okay, you can go. But no, it's been difficult. I mean, I've been trying to rethink the brain, rethink what I'm doing. And obviously the last 29 episodes has been amazing. Guests have been amazing, for me. And then I've learned heaps and had, in my opinion, I think I had a fair, what am I trying to say? Like a good spread of different opinions.
Broad.
Yeah, broad. Thank you. Like a broad sort of span of opinions, and I guess it was it was sad to sort of put it down, and it was also kind of like am I going to come back after this? Because it's hard, man. I'm just sitting down, rethinking what I'm doing, kind of putting all the bits and pieces that I sort of learned over the 29 episodes, which I've come away thinking it's fucking hard to do it. I guess, like you guys would know, you can sit down and you have the engagement and it's a great time and, you're enjoying the conversation. But what they don't see behind that is the grind trying to find people and sort of the editing process and the sharing and all these things. And it I guess for me, it became a bit too much to think about at the time. So I kind of just dropped the tweet and then shared the tweet and just like, fuck, see ya. I'll be back later. And, and then now 4 months later, looking back at it, I'm thinking, no, I want to come back. I want to come back. I want to do it again, So I guess... Well, one of the things, which if you don't mind me sort of announcing it for the first time on your podcast, I'm actually retiring my show. So I'm retiring the Thought Plantation because I feel like I've gone as far as I can with that kind of avenue. And a lot of reasons for that is going solo is a bit difficult, like finding the guests and also when there's no guests, I kind of disappoint myself by not having like someone in for that week or that fortnight. And I think I put a lot of pressure on myself, like a fuck ton of pressure on myself to try and get some form of content out. And when I wasn't able to do it, or if I did it and I wasn't happy with it, it'll be like, fuck, is it worth doing? Is it worth, I mean, I find the guests have been great and actually made it a really amazing experience and fulfilling, which kind of reinforced me to keep doing it every time I got a guest on. But it was the grind in between that time that was just fucking just a nightmare, So I can see why people do podcasts. They have fucking other people sort of finding the guests and doing the editing and doing all the sharing. It's ridiculous. I don't know how Cam's does it. You're fucking
I was just
nuts.
thinking that, like,
Yeah.
you got someone doing this. I was like, oh, that's all this guy on.
No,
Just lets me know where to be and what time
and
to
it's
be
a
there.
That's it,
compliments, bro.
I haven't even gone to that fatigue stage yet. When I do it, right, I'm doing it. Like, honestly, I'm having fun doing it. It's fun for me.
It was fun at the beginning, like it's new. But I think it just got. I think I got overwhelmed. I think for you guys, you've had amazing guests, and you're going to continue to have amazing guests, and you're keen to do it. And I guess for me, I think, but you guys don't sound like you put too much pressure on yourselves. It's like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, well, fuck it. We got other shit to do too. But for me, it's like I really put so much pressure on myself to fucking just do the best that I can, and I seem to have let myself down quite a few times. More along the lines that. I had a goal. My goal was to get to like 50 episodes and trying to do an episode a week. When that didn't fucking turn out, okay, pull back. Let's just do one episode a fortnight. When that didn't turn out, I was like, fuck. It just got overwhelming. So I decided, and plus, there's a lot of external stuff happening at the same time. I decided to put it on hold, and it actually gave me a lot of perspective, And at the end of the day, I've decided to sort of retire it, and I'm really sad to see it go. And I don't know what I'm going to be doing with all the episodes. Whether I just leave it up or
You got to leave it up, man.
No, I mean in terms of the Instagram stuff.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Because I don't think I'm going to be posting there anymore or anything like that. And there's a lot of content on there. There's a lot of photos, a lot of stuff.
Hot out.
That's there. But I don't know whether I just rebranded or stuff. So the next step that I'm hoping to try is start a new show. What that show is, I'll keep that close to my chest at the moment. But I've got a few, I think, pretty exciting plans coming through the works. And I guess what I can release is that I'll have a co-host, which I think is going to make my life so much fucking easier, honestly. And, it's going to be a very interesting journey because I'm hoping I've learned my lessons from all the other episodes and all the other shit that I went through. And, hopefully I'll be able to sort of this will be a smoother ride. I'm hoping, because I'm still passionate about it. I think about it all the time, and when I hear your podcast, I'm like, these fucking guys, fucking episode 116, fuck you. It's all coming from love, obviously,
Now I think even with us like having the network, for me, no pressure comes with some other guys gonna Stace will bring out his kind of rock this week. Don't have to worry, and something will come out this week. The girls will bring out their 135 playlist. 1 week, and I think the longest we've ever been dry for this podcast, it was 3 weeks, and that was last month.
One.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
And did it feel like 3 weeks?
No, it didn't. Because you're right. You guys always have some new content coming through, which is annoying for me. How dare they make such good content and consistently too? Fucking assholes. No, but it's actually very, and I've said this many times, to you, privately, and also to on the last podcast. Like, it's very inspiring to see because obviously it can be done, So I need to sort of like pick your brains at some point and sort of say how the fuck you guys keep doing it, Because you come up with new ideas, brother. I mean, far out, Next thing you know, you're messaging me. It's like, hey, fast break points. Let's talk about this movie. Fuck yeah, let's do it.
Oh, I retired that. That's retired now, that one.
What's that? How come?
Yeah, that one was about like, because again, I felt that there was not enough content coming out from the network, and I wanted something in between stuff.
Yeah.
So if we were going to take a break, or if we never had any guests this week, what can we do in between?
Yeah. So fast break points was supposed to be that.
Fast break points was like a short 5-minute, 10-minute burst of something, anything.
Of whatever.
Of whatever. I'll get someone to come on, and it'll be online, and it'll be just the YouTube platform. It won't be any Spotify or anything like that. It'll just be strictly YouTube, and just something to, get in between, just to fill in the gaps in between.
Have you announced that already? Have you already said that?
Nah,
fast break points?
No, not really.
Shit, we're all revealing shit this episode, huh? Far
I
out.
let that one go, but I sort of merged that into Empty Out the Clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was about to say, Empty Out the Clip has been there for a while, and it's kind of like covering almost anything. I guess mostly sports these days, eh?
Yeah.
Sports seems to be the main sort of focus. Mind you, sports is fucking heavy at the moment, right? Fucking shit going down everywhere, so why not? Oh, that's sad to hear. Because I had a lot of fun on talking about that movie, that TV show. Which I totally forgot what it's called now.
Empty Out the Clip. So, no, fast break points.
Yeah. No, I mean the show that we talked about, that the one with the judge and the.
What
was it called?
The juror? No.
The juror?
Jury?
Some shit. Yes, I can't even remember that. But I know it was a good fucking show.
Yeah, it was a good show, yeah.
You guys should watch Fast Break Points. It's pretty good.
Yeah, no, that was it's funny how it ended, because it ended like there was going to be another season, but there's not.
Wait, there's not?
That's what I heard. I don't know.
What the hell are these people doing?
I thought it was just like a mini-series.
Yeah, but I thought
they
left...
it. It starred Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston. And...
So he's a judge, and the son kills someone by accident. It was the hit and run.
Yeah.
But the guy he killed was a mob boss's son.
Yeah. It just went crazier and crazier as the episodes went on. Yeah, but that TV series was a great one. And I'm surprised. Why the fuck? At least even with miniseries, there's some sort of ending to it. Like this, you had some. Well, I'm trying to figure words. I can't even speak words at the moment. Just came back from work. But it was. I'm disappointed because I was actually waiting for a new episode, a new announcement. But oh well.
Well,
I might be wrong.
On to the new one.
It's funny because what's that Netflix program that's out with that Josh, the guy from Transformers?
Josh Duhamel.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh yeah.
Because they haven't renewed the second season. So you're just gonna have.
Have
one...
you seen it? Have you?
No, I haven't. Is that Jupiter Ascending or something?
Jupiter Ascending. No, that's the one. There is a Jupiter Ascending movie.
Oh, okay.
Jupiter's Descendants or something Descendant. Yeah, it's a superhero one, right?
Yeah.
So the crux of it is superheroes and then trying to get their children who also have superpowers to take over.
Oh,
basically.
okay.
To take over because they're going to retire at some point. It's got an interesting storyline, but it's one of those storylines great, visual effect. Breaks immersion.
Yeah.
And the suits look stupid.
Oh.
He looks like a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
$2 show. Superhero.
There was a Netflix movie that came out maybe a couple of years ago. It was a science fiction one about something in the forest, and they have to go. Had good actors, but the special effects was like low budget.
Was like an alien-ness kind of thing. Yeah. I remember. I think if that's the same one where they have to crouch through like this, almost like a force field. Sort of
thing. That's right.
Yeah, that was beyond shit, bro.
Yeah.
It goes to show that you can have amazing actors, but if the writing is shit,
and the special effects.
yeah.
That's sort of like Netflix's niche now, having those type of budget. Type of budget, say, with their productions.
Yeah, it's hit and miss for Netflix at the moment, eh? Like sometimes they've got like amazing shows, like whoa shit, where did this come from? And then you got these, it's like who the fuck?
Well, the movies. I watched that. Was the Batista one, the Army of the Dead?
Oh.
I watched that, eh? But you know what? When I saw it was a Zack Snyder film, I was like, oh, okay, I know that I can tell you exactly how this movie is going to go. Okay, I knew straight away. Okay, it's going to be slow-mos in the beginning, and you're going to remake a song and make it sound as eerie as possible, and then you're going to have a lot of just stupid zoom over shots in that.
Yeah.
And I watched that and I went, and I knew straight away, you're watching
A Zack Snyder film.
film. And then when they done the Viva Las Vegas and some alternative version, I was like,
What did you think about it though? Like the movie as a whole?
Well, you know what? We're talking about Netflix films.
Yeah.
Remember how we had the straight to video films back in the days because the budget just wasn't.
You stop it right now.
That's what it feels like.
Completely bypass the cinema, straight to film.
That's it.
Straight to film.
There's no
back
grand.
to the lobby. Yeah.
We should make a name for it now. Straight to Netflix.
Straight to
stream.
Straight to stream.
Straight to stream.
It's STS. There's some STSs there.
There's a straight to stream.
That's
movie.
real talk. Because
man.
if you look at all these movies, I was watching, I was like, oh, man, that's why I'm looking forward to Dune. Because, that's a grand scale movie, the cinemas have all gone. But now they're just doing these quick, fast food movies, it's not like you're going to a restaurant where you're getting the full course meal and that. You're just getting stuff like, oh, what am I doing tonight? It looks like I'm watching this movie, because it's.
Yeah.
And that's what this Netflix film feels like, man.
There seems to be the common thing with a lot of new films lately. Very rarely do you come out with a film where it's you feel like there's enough character development and the story develops really great. Everyone gets introduced. The plot is well sort of spread out throughout the film. It feels really quick. Everything happens in a short span of time, and you kind of think, oh fuck, it's done.
Yeah.
But wait, going back to the original thing, what you're talking about, I'm Dead. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I feel like it's a weird zombie movie that kind of had a weird element of fucking pregnant zombie. Sorry for killing it for anyone who hasn't seen it. But, the pregnant zombie, I was like, oh, shit, okay, interesting. There's blue shit coming out,
Well, pregnant zombie,
Okay.
Look. I just hope she was bitten while she was pregnant.
I was gonna ask that. What do you think? Do you think they kind of did the dirty while they were...
If these zombies are mating now...
We're fucked. I mean, we're all... Well, not literally, but...
Yeah. Well, they are.
Yeah. But, hey, man, zombies need love too.
Yeah.
The one thing I didn't get, if the first one was the alpha, right?
Yeah.
And he bites someone and he becomes alpha.
Yeah.
Then where did all these normal zombies come from?
Bit from the people that are not the alpha. So only the alpha can make other alphas. But then those second ones, whatever they bite, they become bullshit zombies.
Normal,
Dumb zombies.
Bullshit zombies.
Bullshit zombies.
If he's the alpha and they become an alpha...
Oh, I think beta. We'll call him beta because I don't think it'll be fair to call everyone alphas.
They must be double A's.
Double A's.
The double A's. He's the A.
We got
He's
STS
the
and
SDS. Yeah. Write this shit down. Write this shit down because we're going to forget about it later.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is getting recorded. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
But, because
if I find out there's a new podcast of you guys coming out saying SDS, I want credits. I want to be involved.
Yeah. That's what we should call our movie, our STS movie.
Straight to stream.
Yeah, straight to streamers.
Where you only look at the movies that doesn't have a big entry, nothing. It's just straight to Netflix.
Yeah.
I think that's what needs to happen.
Because, one thing about Netflix, they've pretty much got most of the market. But so recently I got Amazon Prime. And if you go through them, the first 10, oh, man, mean. And then you go into those documentaries and that, and you're like,
well, what kind of documentaries?
They were cheap,
about?
really badly made ones.
Yeah.
Netflix has got But these are the ones where they'll be talking about. So I watched the LeBron one, right? And I went, oh, I don't know LeBron, but it wasn't NBA endorsed in that. And I went, I should have known straight away because so
there's something they ripped off YouTube or something.
And they've got people that LeBron James's uncle's next door neighbors, and then more stock photo. There's no actual. I was like, okay.
Well, there needs to be an avenue for low budget people to sort of.
Well,
get
that's what
shit
I mean.
Out there.
So it feels like when you used to go to the warehouse, and you got all the DVDs. You got all the DVDs, and you've got all the flash ones, but in the middle there's always that.
It's
big,
just like a dump.
The dump.
Put it all in a bucket, and they just poured it, and then you have to
and you go for $10. Those are the ones on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. There is a whole bunch of weird shit on there.
They got really quality stuff, real good quality stuff. But then there's a line, and then you're streaming through it. Oh, Conor McGregor, and I watched it.
What the fuck is this?
This is Conan McGregor because
the thing of those baskets, those bins.
Yeah.
There's about if you rummage through them, There's about 100 speeds in there.
Yeah, that's right. Hard out. Yeah.
Speed.
What, the counter reef speed?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's right.
Like,
Man,
how
but
many DVDs did they make of that thing? Like, we're gonna sell.
Yeah.
And they're like, fucking, how many years later we're still trying to get rid of all our stock?
you go into the whole little shop of horrors, like, and the thing is, but you know what? I'd spend an hour there because I'd just go through.
You find some
because you're gonna
classics.
find. Man,
Find
I
a
remember
classic.
one man, and I went through and I found Predator. But then I took it home, and it was a Zone 1.
Oh, so it didn't work.
Yeah, and I was like,
No wonder why it's in the
yeah.
basket.
And I said, "This what you-"
It's in the dump.
but I should have known because it had the seal on it, and it said, too eager,
Yeah. Oh, well, you look at it as a collection now, eh? Because me and my wife used to do that too. We'll kind of go to the warehouse or go to like EB Games or something, and they've got like that big basket go through. Like, oh shit, haven't seen this. The Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Oh yeah.
Yes!
You love those ones, eh?
Oh, you got to. Because now we kind of got like a little collection, but obviously DVDs are not the way to go now. The environments and all that bullshit.
Stuff that stuff, man. Because when you're, the one thing if your internet's down and you've got rain fade through, on your Sky and that, what are you going to go to? You're going to go to your DVD. You trust the old.
You need to.
Well, unless it's a Blu-ray one, eh? Because all the early ones.
I feel like the only way to watch DVDs is through your PS2 now, or PS3, PS4.
Yeah, PS4. Yeah.
Like no one's got DVD players anymore.
I do.
Oh, do you?
I've got one.
Yeah,
I got a
I
video. I got a video cassette player at home.
I saw that at one of these markets and was like, fuck, they're still selling like VHS tape players?
Bro, and they're quite expensive.
Oh, yeah. Like retro tech.
Yeah. Like, I put it in. It was my brother and my sister-in-law's wedding, 1999, and I watched it. I was like, just that old feeling when you put the tape in, it makes the sound, and you press play. And I was like, oh man, I love this, man, because
Oh, you have to wait for like 10 minutes to rewind the film?
we got to get the tracking. Cause there's a lot of there's little lines, and you put the tracking.
See, kids these days will never remember the whole red, yellow, and white wires.
That's right.
Putting it in, and then you find like, hey, did I get it in the wrong?
Yeah,
way?
that's
I got it in the wrong side.
audio out.
The RCA.
I said, yeah. What's this audio out, audio in? What VCR or AV?
It's all simplified with a HDMI cable now.
Yeah, it's crazy, eh?
Little bastards.
I know. Like I managed to. So the Lions Club over in Newland, every second or third Saturday of the month they have the dollar book sale. Like, bro, if you go there, it's just got it's good because people just they get about 10 books in there, and then once they're done with them, they bring it back, so they just keep recycling stuff. Yeah,
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah.
and they've got all these VHS cassettes in that, man. And you go in there and you just see the.
They're gonna be worth something one day. Like the decent films, like the really like top
That's
shelf
right.
films.
Yeah,
Those are gonna be worth something, especially if you got the proper casing. And remember, they used to come with little booklets.
that's right.
inside? Oh,
Yeah.
man. God damn. I remember growing up in Tonga when obviously DVDs weren't a thing at the time, and everyone, very quickly, I'm starting to realize people are not going to know what video stores are, right? But in Tonga, it was really budget, so you'd go in and you couldn't really walk around and find a film. You had to go through a book, so you had to just flip through a book.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, I have no idea what these movies are. Oh, this one's got the guy from The Matrix. Can I get this one? Oh, it's taken out already. Son of a bitch!
Yeah.
Who's the guy taking? What is it back?
Yeah.
Out.
Tell me, man.
Yeah, tell me right now. And then you finally get your film. Like, this guy didn't even rewind it.
Oh, yeah.
How insensitive,
Yeah.
man. The horror. Yeah, I mean, shit, man. I mean, things are definitely changing. That's for sure. Yeah. So, kind of going back to on a big tangent there.
Yeah, that's
kind of going back to
Let's
the
back
pod.
to, yes.
Kind of going back to the podcasting game. I've noticed sort of I guess the way that I ran my last podcast. My last podcast, like I've got like 3,000. My only podcast that I've had so far, it was I was never really happy with the outcome. Like always. Like, and I think everyone who I talked to about it, I was kind of like, I don't know if it's the islander in me where I don't want to sort of like just like, hey, look at what I'm doing. Like, look, it's good. I just find myself I was unhappy at the end of the day. Not with the guests, because the guests were always amazing and the guests were always really keen to engage. But then, like, for me, for some reason, the end result was not great. And if you listen to my old podcast, like, the intro changes so much, and the outro changes, and then kind of try to cut things up, it just became too much, you know? So, again, I don't know how Cam's just is so motivated all the time to just, fucking do it. Love it. But I hate it, eh? Editing is like the bane of my existence. And I've said that many times to many different people. I fucking hate editing, you know?
You sound like you need a producer.
Bro, I need a producer. I need a receptionist. New kids. No. No. I would love that. You know, I was actually really tempted to sort of just put it out there and kind of like, you know, anyone want to sort of join and sort of be part of this, you know, be part of like either big, you know, co-host Steven at the time and also the editing side of things. But at the same time, I was like, would there be anyone interested in doing that? You know, because it's going to be free. It's going to be time you're going to have to invest. And, you know, like most sort of ventures, is it going to take off? And not like I was looking for it to take off or anything, but it's like I would feel guilty if that person wasn't getting anything out of it. So I could, put that to the side and it was like, probably best to, you know, rest for now and sort of recuperate and sort of rethink about what I was doing. And yeah, so I came back with thinking, retire it, you know, which like I said, I'm pretty sad about it. Because there was a lot of good times, and you guys have been on it, you know, and half my family's been on it. But you know, that's going to be the episodes will always be up, you know. So I'm always going to be grateful for that, you know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a new chapter, you know, to a new chapter, which is really exciting, and I really wish I could sort of just explain it a little bit more about what I'm looking for, maybe off camera, but. I'm looking really forward to sort of what that holds. Because I'll ask you guys this. Actually, mostly you, Cams, because you, every now and then you do something on your own and sort of just run like fast break points. Do you find it easier with eyes on, or do you like being solo from time to time? Because I know you guys started it together, you know, with the 1 through 5, and then everything's kind of evolved. But you've always had multiple people on at the time. You know, do you find it easier with just one person when you sort of do the fast break points and stuff, or?
I think it depends what the topic is about. I'm more comfortable if I'm really knowledgeable about the topic and I can do it, you know, on my own. Back 1 through 5 is cool, and it's different because I can never always have my point of view, but having Isaiah doing it with me, it's really good to bounce off our different perspectives on what we're talking about, you know, with the guests and that. So I think that's been the biggest deal for what Back on 1 through 5 is about.
I think that's what works with you guys, because you guys have really good chemistry, you know, and then you guys are able to bounce different opinions, and you'd ask a question, and then Cam will sort of like enhance it with his question, or vice versa. And I think that's what I've been missing. Yeah. Because as much as I like to think I'm very, very forthcoming and very, very like in your face, this is the question, I also am a very sensitive person, so I don't want to sort of make people uncomfortable. Well, at least I try my best not to make people uncomfortable. And I don't have that buffer, which I think is very helpful, you know. Not that I know what it's like, because I've never had a co-host before. I
think that's what makes you different, though. When you're scared of making people uncomfortable, I think that's the way, you know, to get people to listen, because it's different. It's not like if people want to listen to a nice, friendly conversation, they can turn on TV.
That's a good point. You know? That's a good point. But I don't like making people uncomfortable, I guess is the point. I guess
not making the person uncomfortable, but it can be the topic. It's the topic that's a good point. That's uncomfortable. It's not really what the person, you know.
Yeah. So the person that I'm having on, I don't think he'll be happy if I say his name just yet, but he's very opposite to me. He's very kind. Sound like I'm saying like I'm a bad person. Yeah. He's a very nice dude. He's a very nice dude, and we're kind of going very left field, you know, because he's South African. So that's a very different point. Very different point. And his upbringing is very different to mine. There's a lot of similarities, but he's very fucking crazy upbringing, you know? So we're kind of both going to be sort of, at the moment... Oh, fuck, I'm giving too much away already.
No, you're going to have to tell us after. Then this guy presses the pause button.
Or maybe just cut this out. No, it's going to be a very, very... just me and him, you know, where we're going to talk about sort of like our experiences and stuff like that. What I can give away, actually, it's going to be initially, mostly based around me and his experience working as mental health nurses.
Nice.
So that's kind of be like the foundational starting point. And I think we're going to sort of have like a topic, and I'm trying to cut down to an hour because fuck, these 3-hour episodes are just, what the fuck? 3-hour episodes, like as nice as it is, like, oh yeah, 3 hours go down, but it's like, fuck. In all honesty, I think people's attention span is so short. 3 hours is just stupid unless it's cut up into multiple episodes. So it's going to be talking about that kind of stuff, you know, and then we'll have things that evolve from there. Yeah.
I want to ask you, Gio, like, what would make your podcast with your mate different? Because there are a lot of mental health podcasts out there, especially the Polynesian ones. And what would I don't know how many you listen to, but how would you make yours different?
You're right. In terms of the amount of podcasts out there that talk about mental health, is a dime a dozen. There's heaps. I think what's lacking is the two people that's going to be talking about mental health are people that's working in the system. So I think that's going to be the biggest difference, is that we hear a lot of people from the outside, people who have experienced the service, you know, as users, service users, right? And good experiences, bad experiences. And I've kind of done a little bit of research for New Zealand context. Obviously, the world is very different, but in the New Zealand context, there's not many nursing podcasts specifically about working within mental health. And there's no, if you think about, you know, when you hear people talk about mental health, you don't really hear a lot of opinions of people who are working in the system, you know? It's easy for someone to sit back and experience the system and think, this is shit, you know, nothing gets done for me. And we hear it all the time, you know, where services are shit. And I'll be honest, some services are shit, you know. DHBs should be doing a lot more, you know. But you don't hear it from the people who are actually in the system trying to work within the system to fucking make people's lives better, you know. And that's a very, that narrative gets lost so easily, you know, because getting shit on for being a mental health nurse is it happens all the time, you know? Yeah. I have people calling up at the office pretending to be a family member, and it's just someone from the fucking news agency, you know? So it's that bad. Like, we don't have a great rep. And for there's reasons for that. You know, I'm not saying it's all...
So what's that all about? Why do they bring the news?
Looking for stories. You know,
but why do they have to hide?
Because we don't talk to them.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know how ethical that is. To call up pretending you're someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of them are pretty straightforward. Some of them say, hey, listen, I'm calling from like One News, or I'm calling from, you know, your mama's basement or some shit like that. But, you know, and they're straightforward, so you can say, sorry, we can't comment. You know, you can contact our fucking liaison person that deals with media. Excuse me. But I think what I think is that there's not a lot of narrative from the people who are trying to do good things within the system. Like, look, I'm all for changing the system, you know. It's for some structures to be brought down and things to be redone. But I also believe in working within the system to change it from the inside, you know. There's not a lot of success. I can't say that because that's not true. I think it will be difficult from an outside perspective, outside influence to change the system, you know. I mean, people are doing big, amazing work, like Mike King, you know, he's doing... amazing work working from the outside.
Didn't he give us a cross back?
he gave something back.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, eh?
I think he told Jacinda to go, fuck, shove it. Yeah. And he makes good points. He's been on Talkback quite a bit lately, and he's talking about, you know, and he's right. He is 100% right with all the stuff that he talks about. You know, just to talk about money, and then just the poor allocation of resources. I live it, man. You know, and it's true. You know, when the government announced the budget maybe like a year ago about, you know, 1 point something billion or something billion for mental health, I see fucking nothing. Nothing's changed. You know, so I got, as a person who works there, you know, it's like, where is this? Where's this resource? It's not coming to staffing. You know, it's not coming to extra resources. It's not going towards new facilities as far as I can see. Where's it going? You know, these questions need to be asked, and Mike King's doing a good job at doing that. You know, someone needs to be shaking that.
I last saw Mike King because I went a couple of months ago to IT Heavy Hitters. Have you heard of that one? So
yeah,
that's
I've heard of it.
They fundraise for mental health and suicide awareness. So if you get organisations like that trying to raise money to help, then obviously the help's not coming from that part of the whole thing.
I guess people need to realize that we can't cover everything. You know, and there's for multiple reasons. Resources being one of them. Staffing being one of them. Even skilled staff. Being one of the. There's multiple factors that come to play about why we can't meet certain targets or sort of cover certain areas. But I think it's more about not being complacent. It's like, oh well, we can't fucking do anything. Like, well, then why not? Why? What are the people that are hired
saying
into? Listen, let's move on to. No, it's more about. That's a general response you get. If you hear anyone talk to like the health minister, it's like, oh well, that's this is what we're given, and in a roundabout way, the way that they're talking about it, it's like, this is all we can do, and to a certain degree, like obviously nothing's black and white, right? Especially within mental health, there's more gray areas than there is black and white, and I think as much as we try to sort of cater to everything that's available, there's a shortage everywhere. Mike King makes a very good point about like a shortage. Like the DHB has a shortage of psychologists or counselors, and yet there's thousands of counselors in New Zealand that's working to work. They just need, and they're willing to sort of take less than usual payments. That's why he's got Gumboot Fridays. That's how he raises money for all those counselors for kids. I think there's a lot of stuff, and obviously this is me, who's on the front line, who has no fucking say on what happens above me in a managerial role upwards towards the fucking ministry. I have no fucking clue what conversations are going on there. This is me talking from a person that's here on the front line, seeing people in their homes, treating people, trying to protect people from themselves most of the time. And I don't see any changes. There's a lot of amazing workers, that work in mental health all across New Zealand. And a lot of them probably feel the same, that they're undervalued, not a lot of validation from the ministry. Like, fucking little pats on the back here and there. Oh, it's Mental Health Awareness Week. I think I might have talked about this already.
Should be all year.
Yeah, fuck. Exactly. But it's nothing's perfect, right? And I think for me, I'm interested in hearing both sides of things. I understand there's a certain element of people that have had terrible experiences. Their stories are horrible. And you can't help but feel about, how did this happen? How the fuck did someone go from this place to this place within a health service, and receive that kind of care? I do have to also premise that a lot of it is bullshit. I do have to premise that. So I wouldn't say every story you hear is true. I would ask for evidence or something that will point to something factual. I might get in trouble for saying that, but fuck it. I don't believe everything right off the bat. But there are people that have had traumatic experiences, through our services, which has had a flow-on effect to their family, to their, to their neighbors, there's some gnarly shit, from time to time, when I talk about trauma and stuff like that, with people in their neighborhood, it's not common practice, but from time to time when people get really unwell and we have to try and get them into hospitals or somewhere safe and they're refusing to come out, we have to use police from time to time. And it's not a pretty sight. And it's not a nice thing for someone to be taken from their home and put in the police car and taken to hospital. It's not pleasant, It
sounds wrong. No, right there, it sounds.
It sounds wrong from an outside perspective.
How you
describe
it, like,
and this is me. Yeah, so that's a very poor explanation, but that's it in the crux. That's from what people would see.
That's what I mean.
So my podcast that I'm hoping, myself and my friend's podcast that we're hoping to start, will be helping to sort of explore that a little bit more and hopefully share a little bit more understanding about that kind of process. Now, obviously, we're not going to sort of go into the legal stuff about the Mental Health Act, Section 8As and Bs and all the way to Section 30s and all this shit. But I think we get a poor rep, and I think some of it is justified, but a majority of it is not. What we don't get is a lot of validation for all the amazing work that we already do, and it takes one wrong thing for all of that to be invalidated. And then you're kind of sitting here with this fucking news article saying, suicide this, suicide that. And it's the worst thing you can fucking get, When someone passes away for whatever reason, it's... the reason for it is at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what's happened. Someone's life was gone. That person's not around anymore. People want answers. People want to be blamed. People want to put the blame on someone. Mental health is always, I wouldn't say willing, but we're always there to take the blame.
You know, when you see that kind of stuff in the papers, like the stats, suicide, someone did this, someone did that, it feels like that's a direct conflict with what you're trying to do and the media trying to use clickbait or try to sell their
It
news.
is a combination of that. I think clickbait culture is quite a big thing. I mean, at the end of the day, news people are there to sell news now. You know, not always, but it helps with their margin. I mean, they need to make a profit somehow, and the suicide stuff. I mean, that's a very complicated issue. It's not very one-sided. It's not like people are committing suicide en masse for no reason. You know, there's a lot of issues around, you know, the youth and their poor coping strategies and their poor coping, you know, abilities, you know. So it wouldn't take a lot for them to sort of impulsively do something, you know, like commit suicide. You know, so a lot of the stats sort of revolve around that. You know, there's a lot of people who sort of are in services for a very, very long time, and you know, unfortunately, something doesn't go well in their life, and and then unfortunately, they also sort of, you know, lose their life. It's not very straightforward as most of it says. The stats don't look good, and the stats are not fucking good. Like, how can we have such terrible suicides, you know, stats in a place like New Zealand, you know, especially around males, you know? So it's more complicated than people would like to think. I think we should be very alarmed by it. We should be very concerned by it, you know, but we should always also know that it's not as straightforward as just people killing themselves. It's very complicated, and a lot of things that's happened in the background. And a lot of them have never presented to services before. And when I say services, I think mental health services. You know, they've never presented to mental health services before. So there's an issue right there, you know. How are we missing these kids?
So they're not... So part of the problem is that they're not being diagnosed, or they're not being...
It's not really a diagnosis that's sort of needed.
But just like they're not being identified by the
I think so.
that need to pick these things up.
I think that's a big part of it. You know, it's not the entire part, but it's a significant part. You know, I think a lot of them are. It's impulsive. You know, if you, I don't want to go into like more technical like nursing school stuff, but as a person grows up there, and they have different stages of development. You know, and there's this particular stage for males where, if anyone can look up Erik Erikson's stages of development. And there's a certain stage of a male's life around the 18 to 20-something year where they're more risk-taking and their coping strategies are very poor, and they're just starting to develop into a person. Their frontal lobe isn't fully developed at that time, you know, which has to deal with logic and all this other stuff. You know, so, I mean, if you look at some of the majority of the male suicides, a lot of it has to do with, like, relationship breakups, you know, and they've come from very, you know, poor homes or sort of poverty or abuse, you know, so there's a lot of stuff that happens in the background that there's no service that sort of caters to that, you know? And even if there was, there's a big element of that needs to be addressed about them being known to services. I mean, how do you do that? You know, you can talk about the stigma, you can talk about, you know, people not wanting to do that, or people want to keep it in-house, you know, but there's gaps that's outside of services that we can't cater to at the moment, you know. We should be trying to sort of get all these things addressed. I don't know if they are, you know, but at this point in time, we solely rely on referrals. You know, referrals from the GP, referrals from family, referrals from friends, referrals from schools, you know, referrals from private therapists. So we have that's how we get the people. We save more lives than we don't, you know. I mean, it's a. I'm trying not to say anything really bad because it's a very sensitive and serious topic, but it's one of those things where there is obvious gaps. We're trying to fill those gaps with less and less resources, and that gap is growing. It's forever growing, you know. So, is it more money? I don't know. Is it more staffing? I have no idea. You know.
I saw in the paper the government recently gave some more money towards mental health in New Zealand.
Where does it go?
They're giving out money like candy at the moment.
But it seems like it's not going to the right things.
As far as I can see. I mean, even if we go back years, there's always been periods where the Labour government, or even the national, from time to time, would sort of increase the budget for mental health. Has our stats gone better? No. You know, it's either stagnated or gone worse. So that tells something. It's probably a little bit more than that. It's either the funds are not going to where they belong, or there's obviously a gap that is not being acknowledged and not being filled at the moment, you know? So, I mean, I don't have all the answers, you know? I'm just a grunt fucking trying to do the best that I can with people that I can that I have direct contact with. But it's an ongoing struggle, you know?
I think I have the answer.
Tell me, brother. Preach.
It sounds like there are a lot of factors, right, that lead to mental unhealth. A lot of factors, and a lot of the factors are outside you guys. You know what you guys can do.
Well, we don't create mental health issues.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I mean, I think poverty is a big one. I think lifestyle is a big one too, because that comes under poverty. Like, have a better lifestyle, you know, like stress, that kind of thing.
Drugs. Abuse. You know, displacement.
Growing up with a single mom.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, you know. But
Well, I mean,
but that all falls under.
But there's, you know, when you was talking about lifestyle, drugs and that, what about the rich people or that off themselves, you know? When it comes to when they've got their back against the wall, they're going through stressful times. It's not because they, you know, and you check out their background, they're from a 2-parent household, they've went to probably the flashiest schools and that, and they're just as more, I don't know what the stats are, but wouldn't they just be, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if it was very simple as those bits that you brought up, Cameron, that's very they are sort of indications that make you higher risk at sort of developing or sort of, you know, developing these stuff. But it goes to show that mental health touches everyone at every fucking stratosphere of the world. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire. People get depressed. People get anxious. You know, if anything, if you think about, no, I'm not going to say that. I would feel like I'm defending rich people. I would think mental health is not as straightforward as people would like to think. It's more than depression. It's more than, you know, people with bipolar. I mean, yes, it is those things, but it's encompassing of so many other aspects of a person's life that it's not as straightforward as if you meet these criterias, this is most likely what's going to happen to you. There's plenty of examples of people who come through poverty, single parent homes, drugs and stuff like that, and fucking become amazing people, you know, and they use those experiences to fuel their fucking, you know, their life to be better, you know. There's a certain group of people that will go through that, look at that, use that as a way to sort of, I don't want to fucking do that anymore. I'm going to use that to sort of make myself a better person. And there's other people in the world that sort of go through that and just find it difficult to overcome that. It's overcoming themselves of thinking they're not good enough or don't have the motivation to do that stuff or no opportunities. You know, it's wide ranging. And I mean,
you're talking about character traits, like different character traits.
Yeah,
different people
yeah.
More resilient than others.
You know, you always hear that term and like this kind of generation, they kind of call them the snowflake generation. You know, that kind of they're not the guys that are gonna push through, or you know, not as resilient as probably you know the generation before them. Is that part of it too? Because I know, you know, a lot of them, you know, all the cyberbullying or there's a lot more bullying because of this. You're more exposed to these kind of things. Is that a factor of this current, you know, there's the current youth or this generation so. At the moment?
I think so. I think it's hard to sort of compare one generation to another because our problems are very different. We are more interconnected now than ever. And back in the day, they used to think, oh, stop being so isolated. Go out and fucking engage with your friends and stuff like that. And yet we are so connected on so many different levels. Yes, it's through cyberspace, but it's a form of connection anyway. And yet we're still experiencing fucked up shit, you know? So you can't compare, right? You can't compare this generation's problems with that generation's problems because very different time, different issues going on at that time as well. I think anxiety is on the rise, you know, a big anxiety, and I think that's related directly with like that interconnectedness and sort of social media and all that shit. Things everyone already knows, you know, social media is a fucking bullshit avenue, you know. It's, you know, trying to compare yourself all the time with someone who probably doesn't actually fucking live that way, who rents this Lamborghini and says, "Fuck, look at my car," and then fucking goes back and hitches a ride home. Yeah. You know, so I mean, it's hard to pinpoint, you know, and I won't be able to pinpoint it. You know, I mean, it's just, and I've said so many times, I mean, it's so complicated on so many different facets that you can't narrow it down. And you have to remember, each individual person experiences the world very different to everyone else. So you can't just have like a blanket sort of statement saying, this is this generation's problem. But it's not really, because plenty of people function very well. Same thing with the previous generation, the generation before that. You know, big majority of people function very well, and others not so well. So it's sort of different, you know, finding out why this individual person has found it hard to cope, and then you'll be able to pick out certain things. And yes, there's a lot of things you can relate to other people that go through similar stuff, but each individual person, like I said, views the world very differently and experiences the world very differently, which makes it very complicated,
It must be, because, you're dealing, because you're trying to break down every patient, every person that comes through. You've got to try and get different, you've got either find something to relate to or see what is the cause or how you can actually bring them out of whatever they're going through. It's, how much, when you're dealing with the patients or when you're dealing with a certain person, how long does it really, does it take you to try and get a gauge with these, when you're interacting with them?
Some are quite obvious, some are quite obvious because they find it very hard to hide their symptoms or hide what they're going through. Some are very open and more than happy to talk to you about their stuff. Sometimes it takes a while, a couple weeks maybe, of sort of seeing them quite often to sort of determine what's happening. And what they're experiencing is one factor, because then after you sort of have a rough idea, oh, maybe this person's experiencing quite severe anxiety and depression. Okay, we've kind of narrowed that down. What's happening in his environment home? Oh, his family are very abusive and stuff like that. And so, okay, so that's another issue. What else? Oh, he's unemployed. He has very poor self-esteem. He's been bullied at his work and stuff like that. Okay, there's another aspect. Oh, he also fucking uses drugs as a way to cope. There's another aspect. This guy's constantly unable to sort of support himself and go through wins, and anyone who's gone through wins knows that's a fucking traumatic experience in itself, So you start to sort of identify the person and what they're going through. Then you need to start identifying what's triggering it, and that starts fanning out into like a much more broader picture. And then eventually you sort of get a rough idea, and then you start prioritizing. What do I need to do? Family stuff? Is the family willing to sort of engage into support? No, they don't want to. There's not much we can do there, Continue to try, but nothing we can do there. Oh, employment, something. Okay, we'll hook you up with an employment consultant and find you some supportive, a job that's supportive and recognizes you've got issues and be very sort of supportive in that aspect. Okay, maybe that's something we can do. Have someone support him going to win, even just sitting with him, doing a meeting, to help advocate for him. Maybe that's something we can do. So it becomes multifaceted. I think not once have I talked about medications, even though that's an important aspect, it's not everything. You can't medicate everything away. People would love to. People would love to just take a pill and fucking cool, done. I mean, I'd be out of a job, but but it's.
Is that a philosophy of yours, or do you just do it? You just do it?
Sorry, what was that?
Is that a philosophy of yours? Don't use the medication until really...
No, we use medication, but I emphasize, and we all emphasize that it's not everything, I look at it in a way where, for some people, not everyone, medication can be a foundational step. You set up your foundation with stability through medication, and then we build on that, and whatever that looks like for you. So it's really driven by who I'm working with. So if that person wants to go back to school, okay, that's a goal. What else would you want to do? I want to go out more. Put that as a goal. But you can't sort of go and do those goals if your foundation is rocky. You're not stable. Your anxiety is going all over the place. Your mood is up and down. You won't be able to do it. You won't be able to function. And that's for everyone, So if you're able to sort of get them on a level where, yes, medication is involved, but it's to stabilize you, not to fix you. It's to help stabilize you and actually give them the control back, so they're not ruled by their anxiety, not ruled by their, by their mood instabilities, and allows them to sort of actually grasp all the opportunities. And there's plenty of opportunities out there for people, It's just the willingness to engage and take it.
Do you think that's an issue with the people that you get? Like they think that the pill is the be all end all. Like when I take this, why am I still? They end up thinking, why do I still? Although the anxiety's gone down, why isn't everything falling into place? Because I've been taking this medication.
Just when you take the placebo around.
Yeah.
Yes, this will definitely fix all your problems. No, then again, more complication. Not a lot of people want to take medication. One of the main things is side effects. Some of them can have quite gnarly side effects that, cause weight gain, tremors. These are rare side effects, but they do happen from time to time. There's certain medications that could affect your heart and stuff like that. So, right off the back, anyone can Google shit, and I never tell people to Google medications because there's so much fucking information out there. Your head will start spinning, you know. But a lot of them, there's valid reasons to be concerned. But I think it's always a balance, right? For us, less is best, and I mean that by medication. So if you're on a certain dose of medication, we'll look at that as like, okay, we'll weigh out the side effects compared to how well it's working. If it's working well, but there's a lot of side effects, we'll drop it down a bit, see how it goes. And it's still working well, side effects are improving, we'll see how things go. And it's reviewed that way, you know? Some people just need medication because that's the only thing that's going to hold them for a period of time, you know? And it becomes part of their life. I look at it, for some people, I look at it in the way where people who have diabetes, you know? They will forever be on medications to help manage that. And if they stop their medication, then their fucking blood sugars go all over the place and potentially sort of get really, really unwell. Same thing for some mental health people. They need to take medication, and they probably need to take it for the rest of their lives, you know? So it's weighing a lot of different options up and sort of seeing what's the best way forward. Also to say some people make decisions that are not helpful for themselves, you know? And then what do you do with that? You know, you have to respect their right to choose and free will and all that. But, you know, so here's a question. Here's a question for you guys who's kind of like from an outside perspective. You have a family member who's schizophrenia. You guys familiar with the word schizophrenia or sort of what that is? So he has schizophrenia. He hears voices. His voices tell him to sort of, do bad things. You know, nothing specific, but he says it all the time. But refusing to take medications. Refusing. No, I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't think I've got schizophrenia, you know? And you notice he's progressively getting worse. At what point do you think his right to choose doesn't, should be sort of overridden? Or should it be overridden is the question. Do you think his right to choose and say no to treatment or supports will forever be valid? Or do you think there should be a point where it'll be like, no, actually, mate?
I think there's a point when we have to get people to step in. I think it's when it comes to the point where they're harming others or self-harm becomes a
That's exactly right. So that's where we measure it. So we do, from time to time, have to step in and override their rights to choose, purely on the basis that they have a mental disorder, so they're going through some issues, and their risk is just so high. You can't just sit back and just say, "Well, it's their right to choose." And I believe in people's rights. You know, I think you should have those rights. People should be advocating for those rights. But at some point, there's a point you're gonna have to sit down and think, "No, this is fucking ridiculous. This guy's gonna do something to himself, or he's gonna do something he regrets, and we can support him through it."
You know, when you made that example of where you've been pushed into a corner where you're at the point where you have to involve the police and then you have to get the police to, that would relate to a time like that.
Yeah.
That's where, now that, when you think about it, that's where you get the bad rap because us without, the people now, they got the cameras, look at these people, they come to take my neighbor and he's kicking, bloody police, it's kind of, because it kind of reminds me of that time with the Oranga Tamariki when they had to go get the baby and the police had to go, and I know a lot of people are going to give this guy just took it to other people, and there was a reason why the police were there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They shoot. I'm not going to go into detail, but they had to be there for a reason because there was a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and people don't see that
safety.
Yeah, and it was a safety reason, and so when you make that that scenario, that's what I thought of straight away. I thought of that because a lot of the media and a lot of these people, they don't know that, man, you're just trying to do your job. We're not purposely trying to hurt lives. Yeah. We're trying to save lives or possibly prevent the loss of a life or
or even as simple as them making a very, 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 life-changing mistake, I mean, if you think of people who have bipolar and then when they're quite elevated, they go and purchase boats, fucking houses, take loans out, where they know they very much can't afford this shit. Like, this sounds very, like, heavy-handed, but, when I say it in this way, but, like, at some point you need to be able to sort of, like, hey, you need to stop that, and maybe we do need to involve police for safety. And it is for safety. It's not when the police are involved, it's very rare the police are involved. It's always for those cases where people are really aggressive, serious self-harm, and the police respond much more quicker because they're the fucking police. They better fucking respond very quickly. And it's usually supported by nurses, so the nurses will always be there. They'll be in the car, support the client to transport, and it's actually to advocate for that client to make sure he's safe, he's not being fucking choked down in the street, or fucking his rights are upheld. So there is a specific nurse in mental health called a duly authorized officer, or DAO, where their sole job is to protect the patient's rights during a transport or transit like that into hospital, So I think we try our best, and it's never, I mean, how the fuck are you going to nicely ask someone who's aggressive to please come with us, Police have a hard fucking job, and I take my hat off to police. I mean, they don't have the best rep anyway. They probably are just above mental health nurses. So, worst rep is the police, mental health nurses just underneath. Because they have to respond, they have to respond to such gnarly fucking events, and a lot of the time, the people who see it and make the complaints, fucking getting half of the information.
Exactly.
They're getting like this sort of like half-assed sort of information and sort of trying to put two and two together, and it always looks bad. So I will grant that it always looks bad, but we're trying to do a job, and it's not pleasant, and we avoid it as best as possible. And people don't know this, but we try to avoid. My job as a community, mental health nurse, is to try and prevent people from going to fucking hospital, prevent shit like that from happening, So it's not like we're out there gunning to fucking get people into hospital because I can't be fucked dealing with you. We work tirelessly to try and make that not happen. I mean, orang tamariki that have fucking terrible rep, but they're not fucking going around snatching babies out trying to take them away. There's a fucking reason that people are called for that, And people don't want to acknowledge that. People don't want to acknowledge that there are bad people in the world. There's fucking terrible people. There are some fucked up people. I can tell you from personal experience, there are some pretty fucked up people beyond mental health. There's terrible human beings, And they're left to fucking roam the streets, So it's complicated. to bring it all back, it's complicated as fuck.
Just what we've been talking about that, and just to know that, because I'm really excited about this podcast that you and your fellow worker, South African mate, we don't know who he is, but it sounds like it's going to be awesome because, like you said, it's not putting you in a, because people are like, are they trying to be a PR podcast, But all I know is
I may consider it if they pay me.
Yeah. Well,
depends on the check.
The thing is, it's just bringing to light that these things actually happen. You know what I mean? And because you don't have someone out there, because it would look wrong for the mental health to come out and go, well, these are our spokesmen here, and they're gonna. But a lot of people, because that is a big thing now, we were on for the boy. Cams was on for the boys, and that, so they're dealing with mental health through encouragement and being able to talk to each other. Because that's one thing we, us as islanders, we don't go like you were saying, like we don't really talk about our feelings, or when all it takes is a simple. Because how would you know? It'd be walking past someone in the street, or a good friend, and it just takes one word like, "Oh, so you all right?" or "Dr. Celia, you."
And those podcasts are amazing, because they're creating awareness. And I know I've shat on awareness before, but I'm shitting on having awareness for a month only. People who do awareness all year long, those are the real MVPs. Those are the people who are fucking pushing shit and pushing shit and pushing shit and not relenting, because they find it very important. Those are the people that I respect the most. The people who sort of just pop up like, oh, I'm going to do this fucking 10 push-ups for suicide awareness. Go fuck yourself. A lot of my friends did it too. I'm sorry, mate, but, you ain't doing shit but sort of just joining a trend. It's fucking trendy, Like, you're not making a difference. I would say, fuck, that's too harsh, fucking hell.
But you're right though.
I still stand by it. I still stand by it, but that's fucking harsh.
But I think you're right in the point where these people were doing it, but what they should have attached when they started it was like, okay, when you do finish this, here's the link, or here's where you need to, or show us, besides doing the 10, tell us how you brought awareness besides showing that you can do 10 more push-ups than I can, or whatever every day. But show us what you did, to bring awareness. You actually, when I talk to a colleague or you donated to a,
Yeah, it's a tough one because I think people and I know it's a good thing. People want to be involved. People want to sort of do something, and some people just don't know what to do. So they jump on these trends, which it's saying it doesn't help. I'm sure it does. I'm sure people look at it and think, oh, cool, someone is advocating for me. I think if you really wanted to do something solid, just fucking donate your time at some NGO, non-governmental organization, and fucking just do something. Be out there, talk. Start with your family, even. It's as easy as it is to sort of chuck on a video camera and start doing 10 push-ups and say, "This is for my mate." You fucking, How about fucking find someone in your family who's not doing well, give them a call, spend some quality time with no fucking attachments, no needing for feedback or anything like that. Let them know you're fucking there. Now, I'm not a perfect person. Like I say all these things and I try my best to do it, but I don't do it all the time. But I think the whole point is trying. And really sitting down and when you're about to do these things, it is maybe a public service announcement. If you're about to fucking go on a trend and say I'm fucking awareness for this, that, and the other, are you actually is your heart in the right place? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it because everyone else is doing it, or you're getting pressured to do it, or you fucking really care about certain people in your life or people out there in the world that are really fucking struggling? I can tell you. I mean, you can try and put yourself in the person's shoes who's depressed, right? It's like, oh, fuck, finding it difficult day to day, in bed all the time, and you just flip over your phone, and then you find 20 people doing push-ups for suicide awareness. Oh, okay, and fuck you guys. I'm desperately trying to get out of bed, and you guys are showing off by doing push-ups. Fuck you. It's these kind of things that's kind of it annoys me. It annoys me because people can do more. I guess maybe it's a bit unfair for me to say that because I already work within services and I'm doing it all the time. But I think if you're that person outside who wants to do something tangible, do something meaningful.
These people that you're saying, and I'm just thinking about them because they must, part of them, there are people that genuinely think they are
of course.
Bringing awareness in that.
Of course.
But it's probably, is there a way only because you understand how depression feels? To me, I would not, when people describe depression, I'm like, that sounds like a breakup. Back in the days, I would have been like that. But then, when they say there's a constant...
It sounds like you had some pretty serious breakups, my friend. You want to talk about it?
No, I'm just saying.
As he starts, there's flashbacks.
Yeah,
left at the Form 7 ball.
Standing there and shaking the... No, but
everything will be all right, brother. Everything will be all right.
I'm just saying, when it comes to really understand... Do you think people just don't... what percentage do you think people don't really understand how depression feels?
That's a
because they would have.
I don't think.
I don't think they would have actually if they knew. Okay, now I know that not just 10 push-ups, although I'm bringing awareness. That I'm gonna add something. I can actually do something to it because I know the feeling of depression.
I think that's a fallacy to say that you have to experience something to be able to do something about it.
No, I'm just saying, but how bad it would.
I'm taking into the scenario, right?
Oh, sorry.
I think in terms of people could suffer from depression and don't even know it. That's how, it could be, there's people that are high functioning depression and there's people who don't,
So what's a high functioning?
People who go to work every day, struggling from day to day, but deep down inside are just feeling like it's just no end, just pressure, no light at the end of the tunnel, and you're just kind of in automatic mode. Like you're still, I don't know if you guys have any experience with, close people who may have committed suicide or anything like that, but I know a few people, personally that was quite, fucking laughing, light of the family, light of you go to a party, they're the loudest, funniest people out there, then boom, gone. So it's very different for a lot of people. So I think it's one of those things where a lot of people deal with it and can get over it. Some people just, would like to sort of just recede into themselves and try and manage it that way. I guess, but to come back to your question, I believe a lot of them really have, their motivations are pure. I would say that. I'll give them that much. Their motivation because they want to do something. There's a small percentage of people who obviously do it because they think it's fucking cool. you know? And those are the people.
True, and
that is the people that I'm talking about the most. I can't fault someone for having pure intentions to sort of want to spread awareness, you know? Yes, obviously, I've got a very particular viewpoint about, you know, doing awareness for like a week and then cool, done my job for humanity. I'm cool now, you know? I'm talking about the people who do it, and it'll be hard to say. It'll be hard to sort of pinpoint those people. It's the people who fucking know that they just don't give a fuck, but love jumping on trends. You know, I don't know how you point those people out, but I'm just giving a broad brush stroke of everyone who fucking does it. But you know, I can't fault people who genuinely want to help. And a lot of the times, I think I said it before. It's sometimes they just don't know how to go about it. You know, and people like to feel like they're doing something. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you really wanted to do something, there's plenty of other things you can do, even just within your own life, you know? Even something as simple as, you know, working on yourself, you know, using yourself as an example, you know? Like, you know, go up to work every day. Yep, things are fucking hard. Fucking life is a struggle, you know? Fucking shit's difficult, man. But I'm fucking grinding. I'm out there. I'm doing it. I'm staying positive. I'm fucking doing what I need to do. I'm there for my kids, there for there for anyone who needs me. But yes, I'll acknowledge that things are fucking hard, you know? And I think people feed off that too. People feed off that kind of energy, you know, like, fuck, you know, maybe I can do it too. You know, he's going through similar shit as me, and he's managing to do it. Fuck, why not me? Why not me? You know, I think that's more of that's one way people can do it. And if you think about people working on themselves, you know, that's a big majority of shit being solved right there, you know. But you have to want to. And I guess that's the point. You know, you have to want it. You know, and if you're really depressed or you have other shit going down, it's hard to feel motivated. You know, it's hard to fucking find the energy to sort of actively do stuff. You have to really fucking want it. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, fuck awareness. No. I mean, listen. Listen, that is my opinion, but I can say it again. I do not fault people for genuinely believing that they're trying to make a difference. But we need more people like that, you know. And maybe that's service's fault for not sort of pointing out different ways on how they can help, or maybe, you know, the different services out there that they're not very good at sort of advertising what they can do, you know. But there's plenty of things you can do. Yeah, you just need to Google it.
No, I always thought like, because you know, it's cool how you said like some people might be depressed but they don't even know it. And for me, I always think about like, because I've never been in a situation where I wanted to commit suicide or anything like that. Like I've never been down in the dumps that much throughout my life. But and then I think
have you ever told yourself during a very difficult time, fuck this shit, fuck, I'm over it, I'm over this shit.
Yeah, all the time. But I still do it, you know. I still grind. But I think about these things, and I think about, okay, you know, maybe I'm depressed. I don't even know it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's very individual. Like I said, it's very individual, right? And I think at the end of the day, we all have mood swings. We all respond to what's going on in our lives in our own certain way. And I guess, I mean, everyone has. There's been obviously when there's periods where you're feeling down, you know. And you don't have to be suicidal to count yourself as depressed. Being suicidal is like a very far end of the spectrum. You know, that's fucking low mood, not being managed for a long time. I mean, some people very short time, but you know, a significant amount of time. You know, but people, I guess it's being very careful not to just throw around words like depression, throw around words like thing. It's okay to have a shit day. It's okay to feel low from time to time. You know, that's normal human emotion, you know?
Yeah.
But then when you sort of like throw around words, you know, and I'm not talking about you, Camps. I mean, you know, everyone does it, you know? It's like, oh, man, I'm feeling depressed, bro. Like, well, are you just having a shit day? You know? Well, what is it?
I mean, I throw it around like, I felt depressed.
Because remember, depression has to be, clinical depression has to be diagnosed, you know? Okay. So you can't just say, oh, I've got depression. Do you? Let me fucking answer a couple questions here. You're not depressed. You're just a dickhead.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it's. I think people move very quickly in trying to diagnose themselves. You know. I mean, I hear what you're saying. You know, in terms of like you probably have never felt to that point of being suicidal, and a lot of people don't. But mood has probably been low a couple of times, and there have been days where you kind of think like, oh, fuck, I'd rather just stay in bed today. You know, that sign of low mood.
I do believe everyone has their breaking point, though.
Of course.
Every single person has their breaking point, but at different levels, at different...
It comes down to resilience, like you said very early on in the podcast. You know, it comes down to resilience. And yes, everyone has their breaking point. Now, what that breaking point is and where it is up to that individual, up to that person. And people, when you never find it, which is probably a good thing, you know, but...
And sometimes, you know, when you say, you know, their life is hard, like, that's good. How hard life is can be the thing that gets you to that breaking point.
I think specifically, what about life is hard? You know, life is very multifaceted. Is it the financial stuff of life that's hard? Is it that you haven't achieved your dreams? Is it because your relationship isn't working? Is it because, you know, your neighbor told you to go fuck yourself one day? You know, well, what about it? It's usually something very specific. Yes, sometimes it's not very general. You know, everything's fucking difficult.
I would say inequality would be one, because inequality can happen across the board. You can have inequality poor, you can have inequality rich.
Yep.
And those, and we were talking about before about poverty.
Yeah.
There's problems there, but then on the other side of the spectrum, the people who have people who have money. Yeah. They have their own problems.
Yeah, they've got their own issues.
Yeah.
A lot of them would be. Well, I guess I'll just make up some example now. When you're poor, your struggle is getting money. When you're rich, your struggle is keeping money. You know? So both are very stressful. I mean, like, if you think about it, a rich person has a lot to lose. A fuck ton to lose. Especially if you have investments here, you've got a nice house. Yes, these are very nice things. But you have the risk of losing all that shit. And if that's how your mind works, where you're constantly concerned about losing shit, you're going to have a fucking lot of problems, man. You know, you'd be very protective. You'd be overly sort of aggressive. You'd be not keen to do anything that you don't want to do because you think everything you're doing is right, you know, and stuff like that. Well, you know, and the poor person will have completely similar issues, but then on a different side of the spectrum, you know, struggling for food, to pay rent, to eat, to take their kids, buy their kids clothes and shoes, you know. Yes, it's if from a person who's not rich, sitting and seeing someone's rich, I'd rather have that problem. Yeah, of course. I'd rather have the problem of losing shit. But I think you'll never know unless you're in that position. You know, I think there's a fair few people you know, I mean, if you look at the Great Depression, you know, when the American economy crashed, and then all of those businessmen who were fucking well off, doing well, lost all their shit, and the fucking skyrocketing of suicides that happened there. Breaking point, like you mentioned, right? It can happen to anyone, you know, in the right circumstances. It can happen to anyone, you know. Fuck, that's some scary shit, you know. But that's life. That's reality, you know. That's what goes down for a lot of people, and that's a daily struggle for a lot of people, you know.
Are there people, like, I know there's like there might be some people, it might be genetic though, there might be like a chemical imbalance in them that might cause them to be more at risk to have depression. Are there cases like, I don't know if
there is an argument to be made that some of the major mental health diagnoses are related to genetic stuff. I mean, you know, I've known people who have, you know, say schizophrenia, but their children are fine, very intelligent people, you know. I think, and I don't want to speak out of turn because I think research shows both ways. I think if you have someone in your family, say someone really close like your father or your mother who has schizophrenia, I think your risk is higher, you know, and it could be just you're more sensitive to stuff, you know. I mean, you don't want to be experimenting with drugs if your dad had schizophrenia. That may just unmask stuff, you know. But yes, I think I can safely say that. Yeah, I think your risk is higher if you have someone close in the family that does have these issues and stuff like that. Because you see it sometimes, you know. It's like, you know, oh fuck, I knew his dad. He was exactly the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of alluding to, because I've seen examples before. I'm like, yeah, well, his dad had the same kind of symptoms, or he was like that, and that's why he's kind of like that. I'm like, oh. Is there, you know, I remember either hearing or reading it somewhere like that can be a factor. Like,
it is, yeah. Yeah, I mean, but you can always break the cycle. You know, you can break the cycle. You just have to recognize that there's an issue and have the right supports in place. Now, what those supports look like can vary greatly, you know. But yeah, I think you can safely say that too. I think your risk is higher. But I think I do believe at every point there is and you can sort of break that cycle with the right supports in place. Yeah.
It's I think the heartbreaking thing for me, hearing you talk about all these, is people who, when you're trying to help them, or who just are in denial that they're going through something like that, because there is that old adage, "Nah, man, I'm just going to work through this." But actually, the people around them see the symptoms.
Yeah.
They just are unable to grasp the fact that they are either depressed or they have.
It's insight, and it is one of the things that go hand in hand. And I'll talk about like a major diagnosis like schizophrenia, which is quite common, where their ability to sort of differentiate reality and sort of things that are not real becomes very impaired. So when I turn up to try and support someone and try to offer them their medication, and they say no, a lot of it is built around they don't believe they have it. So I come to you. We'll do it today. Isaiah, I'm here to give you your medication. Like, I'm serious right now. Right now, I'm here to give you your medication. What's your response?
Well, you're being quite aggressive there.
No, okay, that's not my approach.
I'm taking
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
No, let's say someone showed up to your house. Their nurses, they're official, and they say, listen, you need to be taking medication. With your mindset now and the way that you believe and the way you know yourself, this person is telling you have schizophrenia.
Oh, okay, sorry, yeah.
Yeah?
And I would say no.
Yeah, of
because
course.
What are you giving medication for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So dealing with that. So they find it very difficult to understand. And it's not like, so denial is not the right word. Is not the right word for it, because there's an actual condition where their insight or their ability to sort of understand what's going on for them is impaired. So, and that's the constant struggle. The constant struggle to sort of trying to explain to someone you do, but they don't, So you can put yourself in their position.
I've just done like now, the way you just turned up, and because I have no, like you just it feels like you just came to me taking medication. What are you talking about?
Why
because I haven't my brain, or I just haven't admitted that I'm far out. That's crazy.
So, one flew over the cuckoo's nest.
What?
One flew over the cuckoo's nest, man.
Are you the nest from Happy Gilmore?
But that's kind of their experience. Of course it is.
That's scary for me, because right now I don't have an issue.
So you can see why people fight, why people run away, why people make it very difficult to get treatment, because they believe to their core that they don't have these issues.
Yeah.
And you captured it very, very, very beautifully, which is the family see it. Their children see it, and they're trying their best to sort of contain and support them as best as possible. But this person is telling you, and they believe it to their core, and you can feel it when they're telling you that they don't want it. But the symptoms, it's the assessments have been done. There's been issues that's happened in the past. This person needs treatment, and he's saying no. So, so it's stuff like that. So it's not really denial. It's their inability to actually weigh those two up. Because look, listen, if you, in your current mindset now, if you started hearing a voice and you're like, what the fuck is that? I haven't been smoking weed today. Like, the fuck? What the voice? You're like, you'd be questioning that shit. Like, what the fuck? Oh, I'm going to see a doctor right now. This is some fucked up shit. For them, it's a day-to-day thing, lived with it their whole life. So why would they see that as something different or not real? You're the crazy one.
Yeah.
That's what they'll think. You're the crazy person. And why are you forcing me to take this?
The voices.
Yeah. Well, for a lot of them it is. Some of them sort of agree with you and be like, yeah, no, I do. And work on the medication and work with the supports. But a majority of them would be, no, I don't. I don't have this. And yeah, it's a tough journey for them, It's a tough journey. And like can you imagine that?
Yeah.
You're living your life, living your life and going doing the stuff at home, you just finished doing a good deed like washing the dishes, knock knock knock. 2 nurses are there to sort of give you your medication. The fuck?
Yeah.
No, I don't need medication. Well, if you don't come with us, we have to sort of escalate this because we think you're at risk. You're doing all these things, and you have no recollection of it. It's like,
really?
What are you talking about?
Wow.
For a lot of them, they probably don't, because they don't see what they've done is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I argued with her, and she just didn't leave me alone. little did, and then you sort of look at the case, and there's been sort of plates being smashed, and you're busy, talking to yourself in the corner, and, you're not looking after yourself, you're not eating, and then you sort of, and that's where the sort of very difficult part as a mental health nurse is just to come in and just disrupt fucking everything, In a person's mind, they're probably feeling okay. If everything's fine. I'm not always. I mean, some of them are very distressed because the voices are saying some very gnarly, terrible shit to them. But a lot of them are just thinking that it's just usual, So, knock, knock, guys. It's time to come with me.
Yeah. I can see why, you're feeling towards awareness because, you've just really given us an insight into these things. You know what I mean? Because that's the example you gave me, and then just I think now that I think these people they don't know that there's anything wrong, and it's understandable. Like then you think of imagine that or it must be hard because you see these cases every day, and then you see these little trends or these things come up, and what you really want is, hey, let's really bring awareness. You want awareness? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's go and visit, or either go and be the change.
Yeah.
I sound like just another dude right now.
Be the change.
I take that back.
Be the change. No,
but
that's kind of the point. And I argue with this with my wife as well, where she doesn't see anything wrong with the awareness because it must help. You're right. There must be on some level, and I don't disagree with that. I'm sure to a certain level it helps, but then it's weighing up. We could be doing more. That I guess that's all I'm saying. We can be doing more, and we should be. I mean, fuck. Look at the people like. I'm going to mention him again. Fuck, like I'm sponsored by Mike King. But look at what he's done. He's a guy who's come through the services, found out he had a terrible fucking experience, and he's fucking pushing to make things a lot more better. Like, fuck. Anyone can do it. You just have to be willing to fucking go out there, and I guess that's the problem. And I can't. I don't know whether it's fair for me to put that on people. I don't know what you guys think, but is it fair for me to sort of say, if you're going to do that, you should be doing more? I don't know. Maybe it's not justified from my part to say that, but I feel like I'm justified enough to say your awareness is bullshit. So,
I think it's good for people to hear that because it's not like it's a personal attack on them.
No,
it's not. It's
an attack on their motivation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And trying to get to do what's right in a more proper way. Like, get down to the source of the whole problem. Yeah. Like, what is actually helping solve the problem,
Yeah. And if, I'm tired of talking about fucking trends because I feel like I'm going to continue to say something that's just going to be totally fucking out of it. but I guess that's the gist of it, really. It's like, I think they want to help. I think they're just missing the point of how they do that, And there's plenty of ways. There's plenty of ways to do it, I think, anyway. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what I'm hoping to sort of have these kind of talks about. It'll be my experiences, his experiences, talking about how we deal with different things. Topics about how we find the current system. What we're going to talk about. The changeover of the demolishing of the DHBs and this whole single system thing. We're on our way to socialism, guys. Just next stop, communism. No, fuck.
I can see how good the podcast will be because, man, we just learned.
I hope so.
And what we just did hour 20.
Well,
man.
I think
I got so much.
From
that
perspective,
hour.
right? Perspective.
Exactly, because like you said, shedding the light, but it's plus knowing both. So you've got both sides now. So you've got so if I can offer a word of encouragement, or we can encourage, but also you can actually help people identify the symptoms or let them know. Okay, if you see something here or. And actually, when people like this, they'll see you and they'll go, "Oh, it's not a guy that's walking around with a white collar with one of those."
No, this is what I wear to work.
Yeah,
this is what I wear to work, man.
They're probably walking around with a straight jacket or something. That's that's the picture
of course,
people get.
Because that's what's been shown in movies.
Yeah, that's right.
And then even like little art clippings. That's kind of what's associated with us because that's how things were back in the day. It's not a total lie. There was some pretty bad shit we used to do. Like, when I first started nursing and I did my postgrad, they showed us a picture of what it looked like when people were taken in restraints and put in isolation, which is a little fucking room with fucking little hole with hardly any lights, you know?
Like the one from the Green Mile. You know?
Yeah, something like that. It's fucking so inhumane.
Yeah.
You know? But at the time, that was kind of the only thing they had available. There wasn't a lot of medications at the time that they could utilize. There was not a lot of therapies that were being implemented at the time. You know, mental health has come such a long way. You know, a very fucking long way. And we are so beyond that kind of thing, you know? Every year we take quite drastic steps in new strategies, new therapies, you know, medication even, you know, that's helping people every day. But we cannot shake this fucking, you know, period. Period of mental health in New Zealand because it's so bad. And I guess that's the one thing about the podcast. Like, I was a bit concerned that it was going to be like, oh, they're fucking apologists for what they do. But I'm the first to shit on the DHB for the bullshit that they do, you know, because they do. There's some bullshit stuff that they've done in the past. We've tried our best to you know, not alleviate, but we've tried our best to sort of make up for it, you know. And we're still a long way away from making amends for all those things, you know. There's an amazing speaker, Deborah Lampshire, who's been through that period of New Zealand's mental health, and she's teaching at Auckland Uni, and I would say look her up on YouTube and stuff like that. You know, Deborah Lampshire, she's an amazing person that just has so much perspective, so much energy, and for someone who's gone through such a dark time in her life, she's able to sort of bring that experience and sort of share it with everyone. You know, she's made such big differences in a lot of people's lives. So if you wanted to sort of know a little bit about sort of that kind of thing and first-hand accounts, you know, not just some bullshit like, oh, look at these pictures, this is what used to happen. This person's fucking been through it,
Man.
You know? So she's a very interesting person to sort of listen to, and she runs therapy groups and teaches at Auckland Uni and stuff like that. So she's a very amazing person. Amazing person.
I remember those lobotomies they used to do.
Yeah, man.
Those out of there. Like, I don't know how that can work. Like, you putting a hole in your head?
Well, you're taking out the part of the brain that I think what they believed was caused agitation or caused the illness. And what they ended up doing is taking out they just become docile, you know, just fucking just nothing person, you know. In a way, they fixed the problem. They're not fucking causing issues, but they've just fucking destroyed someone's life, you know.
But that's drained this hole, man.
Yeah, but they didn't know any better, you know. And people put a lot of praise for science, but fucking science has done some pretty fucked up shit, you know. And it's over time when people look back and think, you know, yes, I acknowledge that's some pretty fucked up shit that happened. But from that knowledge and that experience, we've been able to evolve and find new ways. Now, unless someone points out another way of doing this shit, which is where we don't harm anyone, please fucking tell us. But, you know, it's trial and error for a lot of it. It's trial and error. I mean, that's the whole scientific method, right? So, I don't know. I mean, it's like I said, I think we're a long way away from making amends, but I think we've taken pretty significant strides forward. We're not perfect, you know, no fucking services, but that's what I'm hoping to cover in the podcast. You know, that kind of avenue, that kind of experience, and
so still trial and error right now.
It's still yes. I mean, if it wasn't, then we'd be perfect. There'd be no suicides.
Right.
So it's been documented. So in the future, they'll know. Okay, we should do this thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, it comes down to stats, right? So they'll like say there's therapies that are being brought out. And they'll look at those therapies and see how many people are sort of engaged in that therapy and how much of them have recovered. You know, and I guess that's a good gauge. It's a good gauge. You know, same thing for medication. You know, medication here, how many people have remained stable over this period of time. That's a pretty fair enough gauge. But then there's also looking at what is the negative effects, what also has happened. You know, what's happened on the side. I mean, our gold standard of medication has some pretty fucking gnarly side effects. You know, like can cause heart problems. You know, weight gain. You know, constipation, like quite serious constipation, you know. And but for the people, that's managed. We can manage that. A lot of people live long, happy lives on this medication. But it's also one of those medications that if it worked for you, fuck. I've seen people gone from not being able to speak, gone fucking just lost in some alternate universe to fucking working full time, having a family, bought a house, and is no longer under services, but taking this medication. So fucking people recover, man. People do amazing work and are able to sort of get to this point in their lives where you won't be able to pick him out in the street that this person has been under services, you know? So there is, yes, it's not perfect. And you know, obviously we want medication and therapies and different things to sort of be 100% effective, you know? But we're not there yet, man. But there's plenty of research going on to sort of try get to that point.
Does New Zealand get stats from around the world, or are we just so unique that we gotta get our own stats?
What do you mean stats in terms of like efficacy and stuff like that?
For results.
Well, we don't. Well, as far as I know, we haven't designed any therapies or developed any therapies specific to us. I don't believe we've developed any medications specific to here. So we are relying on overseas developers and so researchers to do stuff. I'm sure we're doing research in here, and I think we are a part of a greater research team. So it's not like just allocated like America's doing this research and then handing out all this shit.
You've already got a share.
I think it's like it's a collective. So they'll see like how has it worked in New Zealand? Oh, why is it working better in New Zealand than in America? Oh, environmental reasons, you know, access to drugs, shit like that. You know, so it's different and it's on so many levels that it's got different things all happening at the same time. You know, so yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting seeing where because mental health, like I said, has changed so much over the years, and it's exciting to see where the next kind of steps come through. You know, now the whole structure of it all, that's a different conversation and a different sort of avenue and issue. But I think the people doing the work, seeing, you know, providing the cares, supporting all these people in the community, they're doing fucking amazing work. You know, and they're trying their best to sort of provide everything that they can with limited resources, and probably fair to say less and less resources over the time. Yeah, so I don't know, man. It's the podcast is either going to be really fucking good or really fucking shit because we're going to get shut down by the government. You know, but it's.
But I don't see how they could, because if you're just only talking about.
Experience?
It's going to be experience. It's going to be definitely about experiences.
If you start calling out the head of the DHB or something, and your boss, the CEO of, you know, that's when I think you know you'll become an issue.
Yeah.
But
well, we're not going to sort of say which DHB we work with, but why can't we? Why can't we call out the CEO of the DHB? You know?
Well, I guess it would
impact my job.
Well, you're biting the hand that feeds you. Would that not be the case with that? Because you are. Point. Isn't that not a conflict of interest? But you are calling out. You know, you're putting out the faults in the system that you think there are, or you could be. So you know how great a job they're doing.
I guess I wouldn't attack particular people individually. I think I would always use it as a collective. You know, because I do believe people at different rings. Not everyone. There's people out for themselves and just trying to climb the ladder. But I will say a majority of people are actively working to better our system for people, you know. But I will call out the bullshit that I see, you know, and I can only call out the bullshit that I'm involved in, you know. I'm not going to talk about fundings and, you know, because I don't know where the fucking funding's going, you know. So why would I call out their funding? In a way, I'm calling it in that sense. But in terms of, you know, it'll be about my experience, my experience and my co-host experience, and it'll be like different topics, you know, like and be trying to relate it as much as possible to what we've done. So, for example, one of the episodes will probably be about, you know, how does a clinician deal with having a client that they've been caring for years pass away? Like, how do you manage that? Wow. You know, what's your experience and what's the processes? Is the processes enough? You know? So, you know, obviously for privacy reasons, we're not going to sort of say anything specific, but it's talking in general terms. And I'm hoping that with this kind of conversation, because we don't need guests. You know, obviously, at some point, having a guest on would be nice.
I was going to say that. I was going to ask that, yeah.
But I think we're going to try to find our grounding first and sort of see what kind of information comes out, what kind of conversations we have. And hopefully the message come across that, you know, we're the clinicians that work with these people are human too. You know, we make mistakes. We don't know everything. You know, yes, we're trained and we are classified as experts, but we don't know everything, you know, and we can't control free will, you know. So I'm hoping it gives a lot of perspective, you know, a lot of perspective, a lot of interesting conversations, a lot of eye-opening conversations. At the same time, keeping my job, unless this podcast fucking takes off, like fuck you, I'm out. No, that's not true. I'm too passionate about my nursing job to sort of give it up full time. If I had to sort of, it would be going part time. But I can't see myself giving it up anytime soon. Even if, you know, I am lucky enough for something like the show to sort of do fairly well, I don't think I'd be able to give it up. You know.
You know, with you guys out in the field, does the DHB assess what's going on by asking you guys questions? What needs to be done? What's happening? What we need to do?
From time to time, they will. From time to time, when there's like a big audit or something about sort of what we do, they will sort of ask us general questions. And there's been some positive movements, you know. But I think, and this is like a very difficult part where no real significant movement happens unless something traumatic has happened.
So they're only responding. They're not actually being
As
proactive.
far as what I can see from my...
So everything's in response, not...
Yeah,
It's like when someone gets hit by a train and then...
maybe
we'll put a gate there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, you know, similar, like, there's a big overpass, you know, fucking people throwing rocks over onto the motorway. Oh, maybe we should fucking...
Put some grills up. And,
yeah, but, you know, yes. But I think that's a government response. You know, I don't think it's a DHB health response. I think that's just a usual government response to everything. Everything comes down... I hate to say it, but my experience is it seems to come down to funding always. There's always some talk about funding, and we can't afford this. Our budget is in the red. La 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 la. You know, so it's hard. You know, and it takes something traumatic to happen for some changes to happen. If you have a really great manager, which we have at the moment, they're actively doing stuff to help support us and in the work that we do, but. Come down to funding, you know, but that's like most businesses and most, I just called healthcare business. But in most places that employ people, you know, funding does have a big impact. So, you know.
Oh, like most recently, that protest about putting a bike lane on the bridge, and the next minute the government's going to offer
$800 million.
800 million, yeah.
800 million to fucking build. And not too long before that, they said, there's no more money to increase pay for nurses. The fuck?
Oh, they had to strike. Did you guys strike?
Nah, so mental health is always on 24/7. We don't strike. And I'm saying that like we're special. No, because we have a different union. And with that, we support each other. So our union for mental health is different to the general nurses who are under the New Zealand Nurses Association. So they do a lot of the bargaining, and then we kind of support them with the bargaining as well. Like we do our own bargaining as well, but we don't usually strike. We do strike from time to time, but the general nurses taking one for the team, going out there. Although I could have been like, fuck, I wish I was striking today too. Fuck.
Yeah.
Day like this, I'd rather be out and about with some picket fences, you know? Fuck you. No, but no, we don't. I haven't, you know, there's been many strikes since I've started, and I've never been involved in any. I'd love to be, you know, just so I can say, like, I'm an activist. I'm an activist. No. So it's interesting, and healthcare is complicated, you know. You know, I mean, people want to be cared for, and in New Zealand, you have the right to be cared for. You know, and I say in New Zealand because not everywhere in the world you have the right to free healthcare and stuff like that. And we do. We're very lucky to what we have, and I think our current structure is better than a lot of people. A lot of other countries, you know, but we can be better. We can always be better, and we shouldn't be complacent. You know, we shouldn't be complacent with what we already have and all the good stuff we have. We need to look at what we're not doing well and hopefully find some way to get over it. You know, do I have the answers? Fuck no. You know, but I'm here. You know, constantly at the grindstone. You know, doing what I need to do to sort of help. And if someone comes along with a brilliant idea, we're all for it. You know, but hasn't come yet, you know. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm at the moment with the development of the podcast. No name yet, you know. So deciding what the name will be interesting.
That's a good move for you because you know you're passionate about what you do at work, and you're going to bring a podcast that's
Yeah.
got to do with what you do at work.
So I think I'm merging the two, which feels good, you know. And a little bit more focused. I think the Thought Plantation was a very very broad and lacked a bit of, in my opinion, lacked a bit of like direction. It was too broad, and surprisingly turned into a fucking political podcast where didn't mean for it to become a political podcast. And someone sent me a fucking link like a month or two ago saying, hey, did you fucking know you're on this list of like top 25 like political podcasts in New Zealand? I was like, oh fucking shit. It's nothing official. It's just some person's blog. And I'm fucking one step below Mike Hosking's breakfast.
Oh,
no.
It's some bullshit. I'm like 24th or something. But
well, that's because you got Christian on your show. Once
Oh,
you get
yes.
him, you're up there
you're
in
up
the
there already.
political.
You're already. You're
Well,
a
you're-
political
you're
podcast
right.
whether you want it or not.
Yeah, well, you're right leaning then once you get very conservative.
No, he made me see maybe left isn't so bad. No, no, it was a great conversation with him. Actually, it was a very speak to someone who's in the fucking knee deep in that sort of political stratosphere is interesting because I'm talking about from my personal experience as a day-to-day person, and it's nice to sort of say. And I also had that that really lovely lady. I hope I got the pronouns right. If there is pronouns, just digging myself a bigger hole. Anyways. From the Green Party, who was going for the Monterey seat. She was very interesting and very, for seeing someone so young like her pushing politics was so amazing, So it's good. I mean, I've learned heaps in my previous podcasts, and I'm hopefully gonna take all of that knowledge and make this one better. Which I'm fucking hoping so. Like. And I think I said this from the beginning when I did the last podcast. I'll continue to do it as long as it's fun. And I think it kind of stopped being that. It felt like a chore, and I don't want it to be. So no video for the next podcast. It's going to be pure podcasting.
Do you think, I know you say, but will there be, like, eventually, once you get into the double digits and once you and your co-hosts start getting familiar, because I know when we started, it was always for me. I thought this is strictly audio, man, because I'm a bit
camera shy.
Yeah, a bit camera shy, and I'm
Well, it took him a couple
Go
of episodes to
punch.
get in the shot.
yeah.
Actually, that's what I wanted to ask you because I know there was a couple of us like, what the fuck is that? Oh, I can hear him.
Yeah.
So it was purposefully done that way.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
I know.
did
I
Cams
told
get
him.
the angle wrong? That's not like Cams to fucking.
I told him to put it over my shoulder, and it's like, why? I just
Please, man, don't question me.
Yeah, I mean, come
don't
on,
question
man.
me.
No, but that was just me. I'm not self-conscious. I just thought, I never wanted to be in front of a camera. I don't, I love doing this. But then after a while,
You forget it's there.
You go, that's it.
Yeah.
And what because once the thing about the internet and that English bowler who got banned for tweets when he was 18 will tell you it's on the internet forever. So whatever. I look back at some of the conversations we had, and I'm like, wow, that's some robust talk.
There's
there.
robust conversations going there, my friend.
There,
Robust conversation for a West Auckland garage, man.
yeah, hard out.
I knew what we were going to get into when we decided to go on YouTube because it was like, we can get more audiences because we got different audiences on our YouTube.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who they say
More brown people on YouTube as opposed to Spotify, where it's mostly non-brown. I'm assuming. Well, you guys were killing it. I was especially with that when King Kapisi was on it. Then he was going on that rant about religion.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, that's gonna get some hits, and fuck,
Well,
it did, bro.
Yeah.
Damn,
It's
did
still
it do?
going. It's still going.
Yeah. I checked on it maybe a couple of weeks ago. I was like, fuck, there's new comments.
Yeah.
Look at everyone arguing. Love it. Love YouTube comments, man.
That's the one thing about that topic, especially for us islanders. Because religion is it's even it's our government, our countries are based on on Christianity.
Well, some of our laws are based on
Exactly.
the Christianity morals,
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, listen, he's entitled to his opinion. I mean, I haven't really thought about it that much. I mean, in terms of like the whole Christianity coming to the islands and stuff like that. I mean,
I think what was more shocking to me was the comments were 50-50.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
were- they were
I thought it was
they were
everyone just
people.
going to be like shitting on
Yeah.
him. It's like, nah, you don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about, you atheist bastard. But it's
Yeah.
like, nah, there's some that really agree with him. And I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, what I loved about the interaction.
Undercover atheists in the Samoan community.
Yeah.
He's bringing them out.
He's bringing them out.
Well, I liked what I liked about the interaction about when you read the comments is they're not trying to be nasty because it's not really personal stuff. It's just like what they believe, you know. This is what I believe, or this is what I believe. Well, I've always thought about this, and I've always wanted that. I'm like, man, that's what good conversations are. That's what comments should be. Shouldn't be like this. Where do you live? I'm gonna come, you know. yeah, you ugly troll. You know.
Yeah. It opens up the avenue for more robust conversation,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
As opposed to being one-sided and being too afraid to sort of express your opinion. I think that's the good thing about, you know, what you guys have done with your podcast. You've opened so much opportunity and avenues for people to have these different conversations that may have never happened before, you know? You guys are breaking real ground here, man. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but you guys are. And I'm not saying this as your number one fan, you know? Definitely not saying because I'm your number one fan. But it's true. You know, you guys are able to sort of get these guests on that have ridiculous, you know, opinions that may have never seen the light of day aside from a drink up somewhere. You know? So and I know that's kind of where this originated, was like, you know, fuck, we've had great conversations drinking. Why don't we fucking record it? See, I know, I'm your number one fan. I fucking know. All right? But it's true. You know, I mean, the amount of conversations you have with like your mates and things like, fuck, that's some deep shit. You know, other people should know about this stuff too. You know?
Well, I think the cool thing is that what I enjoy now is we get to not expose, but we get to have conversations with people like you. Because if people listening to this episode now, they're gonna go. They started off talking about STS. and then they went after they went to after the DHBs, you know, and now they're talking about, you know, now they're talking about YouTube comments, you know, because that's what a conversation is, or that is what a drink up, or if we were just sitting at Denny's, or you know, catching up and playing cards, it's like this is what would happen. There's no specific, you know, we might have come to talk about something in general, but we're like our little tangents. We just, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole beauty of the podcasting sort of game, right? You know, it's like
you gotta
anything
embrace
can
those
happen.
tangents. Those tangents you go off on, you gotta embrace them, man. You gotta.
Was it mine or yours that we went on for like 3 hours on just fucking tangents? I think it might have been yours. When I came on here for the first time, we just fucking went and like, what the fuck's up? I got work tomorrow, man. What the fuck? But it was like one of those ones where it's like, fuck, time just flies, and that's a good measurement I find of like an interesting podcast, is that time just flies, and the next thing you know, it's like the sun's rising. Same thing with drinking, right? Fucking company's great, fucking having a great time, and the next thing you know, the sun's up. You know, like that's kind of like a good measurement, in my opinion, anyway. And as a person who's kind of sat on both sides as the host and also been on the guest as a guest 3 times, 'cause I've been here twice and then Yash once. Conversations are amazing, you know, and that's kind of what you want. That's kind of what you aim for, and that's what I'm hoping to sort of get out of it. And I don't know if I'm going to have guests on at this point. You know, I think just keeping it pure, just between me and him. And I guess going back to the video thing, I guess it's one of those things where I've got the equipment already. I think it's more about not rushing, and I think it's a little bit more like my internal competition with you guys. Like, fuck, nah, I want to do some good stuff too. These guys are doing good stuff. I want to be on par. But obviously I put too much pressure on myself, you know, and I think that's kind of what ruined it a little bit. Like, I've got an unhealthy competitive nature, you know, that I really dislike about myself. So I need to focus that a little bit more better and actually be kinder.
Why do you think that's unhealthy? Because I always think
it's healthy to a certain
is
degree.
good thing.
To a certain degree, like if you're obsessed by it and sort of you're no longer enjoying what you're doing because you're just wanting to be better than another person. I think there's a level where competitive is good because it keeps you going, keeps you motivated. But if you're obsessed, and I'm not saying I'm obsessed at the time. I think I put too much emphasis on what I should be doing. And when I don't hit that target, I'm very disappointed in myself. And my measurement is you guys, actually, because of how good you guys have been so far, have been and are continuing to be. That's kind of like where my comparison, that's my only comparison at that time, you know, and you guys continue to grow. And then I found mine kind of stagnated, you know, and that really made a big dent in sort of in my own ego, I guess, as well. And also my, I guess, my motivation, because like, fuck, trying, and I'm still finding it very difficult. And mentioned it before, finding guests is such a fucking hassle. You know, I love if people would just reach out and say, yes, I want to be on the guest, and at least respond, you know. But I don't expect them to respond or sort of say yes. But I do expect some courtesy in saying, no, I'm not interested. Cool. You know, don't respond. Well, fuck you then. On to the next one, you know. But yeah, I think I need to pull the reins on it a little bit and really just concentrate on the art form and actually getting it off the ground. Planning this time, because I kind of did the last one, just went straight into it. Bought the gear, straight into it, which worked for a while, and then obviously just kind of got. I think I tried to grow too fast, you know, when there wasn't actually a lot of sort of things to grow with, you know. So that's kind of my learning experience, and sort of that's where sort of led to where I'm going now, where I ended with the Thought Plantation Podcast. Which I'm very sad to see it go, because I did really enjoy doing it when I was in the podcasting chair. You know, when I was with the guests, I really, really enjoyed it, and I love it. And I don't regret doing it at all. But if I had to do it again, I would do it differently. And I think this is my opportunity to do it differently. Yeah.
The thing I liked about the Thought Plantation Podcast was you. Was you, and how you talked to the guests, and how you brought out something that we could all learn, because you wanted to learn. And it's your show was pretty. It was not only political; it was educational. You know.
Yeah. I think I was trying to. I was trying to be neutral in my opinions, just to help the guests. But I think, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because it did always turn out to talk about political shit. You know.
You know, when you said, you know, you were trying to remain neutral. Well, do you think that was kind of you? Do you think now how you said you were going to take what you've learnt into the next podcast? Do you think that you holding back, kind of held back from the podcast reaching its full potential? Because if you were able to actually really say how you really felt, was either going to get a really good response for them, or you were either going to have an arm wrestle and start trying to.
Well, yes, I think I didn't hold back with certain people because I was very comfortable with them, and I knew that they wouldn't get offended. But a majority of the guests, I didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable, because these were, you know, a lot of them were like, you know, they were doing stuff. You know, they were quite influential, like, you know, people like Christian and the girl from the Green Party, and I think I had Brianna Fruin, who was also part of the Climate Change Warriors. You know, and I didn't want to sort of say, well, do you know that climate change isn't real? You know, because they are taking their time to sit in my studio and share their knowledge for free with someone who has no right to sort of ask for this. So that's the point that I started with. And I think it did. I think to a certain degree it did hold back. I think I did from time to time would drop something in and sort of challenge and play devil's advocate, but I would be very clear that I'm playing the devil's advocate with this question, you know, because I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable, because I felt like I owed them that at least. You know,
do you feel like if you had given them a heads up, like, look, there are quite a few things that I don't agree with. You know, when you know beforehand, you know, we have a little catch up, you know, and we talk, and before we jump on the mics and that. Do you think, because I feel like if you'd actually, like, if they really knew you and then people heard you, a lot of people would love the fact that you would be speaking for the silent majority, because that's what I feel like. Like, you know, when we talk about climate change and that, there are people that are scared to say anything about stuff like that or about politics because of fear of being attacked on social media, or say, man, this guy, what does he know in that? And I feel like a lot of people, you know, are scared to talk, or you know, they don't want to be confrontational, but it would be so good for people to like, if they start attacking you, then that's on them.
Yeah,
you know, that would have been on whatever guest, like, because you would have been, hey man, I'm just trying to have a conversation here. I'm telling you what I believe. you know.
Yeah.
But have we had anyone on this podcast that
Me.
we thought before they come on, oh, we're going to definitely disagree with this person? We haven't, eh?
No, well, I think because we talk about it beforehand, like, you know, because there's sometimes he'll have a guest or something, and I'll say to him, "Oh man, I'm a bit uneasy." Like I've actually said it to him, like, "Oh, I don't know, man. If they say something, you know, I'm gonna feel obliged, or you know, I'm gonna have to say something." And he'll say that too, like, "Man, you know, we'll try and what if they say something controversial?" Well, we'll confront it when it happens.
We'll just cut it out in the editing room. Yeah.
But you know, that's our fear, you know, because
But what I'm saying is it hasn't happened.
it hasn't happened. You know, we're fortunate.
I don't think it's happened for me too. I don't think I've had anyone on where I had a total disagreement with. I've had obviously the girl from the Green Party, which I have no affiliation with whatsoever. But I think at that time I was very mindful, and I guess I felt very lucky and privileged to have these people on. So maybe, you know, it's a little bit of the, you know, the islander of, you know, you respect your guests, and you know, you don't want to sort of cause any sort of thing. I think that did play a big part in it, and I think just also at the same time, you know, I felt like I did ask enough questions which challenged their narrative to sort of say that I did sort of try ask a question that they maybe not have answered or maybe haven't experienced before. But no, I think this time will be different because my friend that's going to co-host, me and him have conversations upon conversation. You know, sometimes we carpool back home and it's just conversations, and he's very outspoken on certain aspects. I'm very outspoken on certain aspects. We don't agree on a lot of things, but we respectfully disagree with each other. So we will be we will challenge a lot of our own narratives, and he's, like I said, like we can't get any more different than a Tongan and a South African. You know what I mean? So, you know, and his upbringing is very different to mine, and vice versa. So I think this time round I will be more not outspoken, because it's I don't think that's the right word. I think I'll be more honest with how I portray some of my views. Even that's not the right word. I think I'll be more open, you know, because I don't come in to challenge you. Like, I'm here to fucking, this is a debate. Yeah. I'm gonna fucking, these are the statistics. What do you fucking have to say about that? It'll be more about, have you considered this? Have you considered this opinion? Blah 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 blah. And I don't think it will be that podcast yet. It'll be more about our experiences, about the way that we work, and how we find this, that, and the other, and you know, what's on the horizon within our work, and then at some point bring in some more experts to talk about that aspect and stuff like that, with leaving room to go on tangents about, you know, STS and all that other stuff as well, you know. But I think it's different, and it's different for me. And I am going in now with experience. I'm going in now with a plan, as opposed to, I really want to fucking do this, I'm just going to do it, you know? And I'm hoping, you know, I'm hoping for good things. I'm hoping that it's going to be fun. I'm hoping it's going to, well, I think it's definitely going to be fun, but I'm hoping it's going to be enjoyable for an extended period of time, you know? And I guess that's on me to make sure that I'm honest with myself, and I'm not putting all this pressure on myself, and not putting pressure on him because he's you know, not done it before, and making sure that it's one of those things where right now it's a hobby, it's not a job, you know, and that's where I'm trying not to sort of move towards, and that was my biggest mistake with the last one, where I was like, too many expectations and not happy with how it turned out, and then got really sort of stuff, yeah. So I mean, comparing it to you guys, like, what would it take for you guys to say, I'm retiring the show? Probably a fucking lot, right? A lot. So for me to sort of not really be so, yes, I'm sad about it, but like, you know, it's like, well, on to the next one, you know? So yeah, it's very conflicting, you know, because at the same time, I want to keep it going. I want to have this on the side, you know, the Thought Plantation on the side, and keep that running. But at the same time, start another show. But it's like, if I can't even fucking run one, you know, with the amount of enthusiasm and stuff that I started it with, what the fuck makes me think I'm going to be able to do two, you know? And I even considered getting a co-host and all that stuff. But I think starting fresh sounds like a good idea to me. And seeing where that takes me, you know, I have no expectation that it's going to do well or anything like that. It's going to be fun. That I can tell you. I think it's going to be informative, you know? And as always with me, probably controversial.
Well, that's what we want. Not like controversial. Like it's the view that people want to say.
It's a different view.
People need a voice. And the cool thing when you said that, you both respectfully disagree. You know, that's real conversation. Because when it starts getting into your mama, you're like, oh no,
it's your mum's.
No, that's your dad. You know, when it starts getting stuff like that, you know, personal attacks and stuff like that, then that's not a conversation; it's an argument. But because you really know each other, like that's like me and him. When people go, man, like we kind of crack up after, like, you know, we'll be outside, you know, we wave by, I guess, and that, man, you know, we'll talk about. Oh man, that conversation, like, man, I love that question that you asked. And, because I followed on from yours. And, like, we always say it because we've been through,
116?
Yeah, well, I've been on about 100 of them. I guess there's other...
You guys feed off each other, which is pushing me towards getting a co-host. Because I've seen how you guys feed off each other and how you guys complement each other in terms of, like, the questions and sort of the engagement. So... I think it'll be good because me and him have very good chemistry, you know, and we work very closely together with clients and we catch up, you know, we're good friends. So I think it will work, you know, and I'm very excited to get it started.
I'm excited, man. Honestly,
I'm not trying to hype it up too much before it turned into a dud, but
man.
I'm excited to hear you back behind the mic again because another thing I liked about Thought Plantation was it was similar to what I thought podcasts are supposed to be, alternative to TV and radio. I mean, there's a lot of podcasts out there that try to be safe. I don't know. I don't even know why. I mean, if you want to be like that, why don't you go on TV and do a TV show? Or...
Yeah, probably for popularity's sake. You know, it's like they don't want to say anything that's going to make them unpopular with anyone. It's trying to cater to the entire thing, and I guess that's what I have tried to do, which is I'm not a spokesperson for anyone but myself. Similar to what you guys do. You know, you're not here to sort of talk on behalf of West Auckland. You know. But you guys have the experience of living in West Auckland, so you'll speak from your own experience and advocate for your own experiences here. So that's what I've tried to do throughout my whole podcasting journey, which is over a year now. Although, yes, there was a bit of a sabbatical just now, but it's come up to about a year of doing it. And I feel like, you know, it's time. It's time for some change. It's time to get back in there and you know, throw my hat in the ring one more time and see where it comes from. You know, see where it goes. I think it's going to be... It's going to be fun. Or it's going to be one episode and then you see me and him getting escorted to jail because we've exposed too much.
Nah, man, I don't. This is going to be...
It's freedom of speech at the end of the day, right? So
that's right. You know, the one thing I was going to say is, like, maybe, you know how you said there's no video. Why don't you just tape it anyway, though? You know, and then when you get to a point, you go, you know, we'll just chuck up the first one. And then, so you can see... for reals. So you can see from one, and when you get to the 50 mark, to the 100 mark, you can go, you know what, just for you, exclusive, we're going to check out
my OnlyFans. If you join up to my OnlyFans, you get to see the video exclusive. By the way, we're all sitting there naked. That's the Naked Podcast. That's what it's called. No, I guess it's like I said. It's for me. The video is an extra pressure for me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because I don't expect my friend to do anything but just show up, you know. Who knows? Maybe a single angle.
That's what I mean.
As opposed to like.
So you don't have to do any editing in that because just for me.
I know. Yeah, you tell him, Cam. See, this is the guy that doesn't do the editing. You.
I'm just saying, just record it and then just put it away, and then at some stage later on.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I think what it'll be too.
Because you've got the gear.
I do, and it's a good point, and I guess that's another reason why I'm trying to do it again because I already have the gear.
Yeah.
I guess it'll be too tempting for me to not just release it. Like I've already done it. Why not just fucking do it? But that's the pressure. That's what I mean. And this is me, my own personal thing, where it's like I don't want that pressure yet. You know, I think video at some point. You know, I think that's just the natural way it evolves. You know, but. I think I really need to tell myself to slow the fuck down and stop being such a fucking, you know, just impatient, you know? Like I think my podcast was all right. You know, I think it was good. I think the feedback I got from it was pretty good. And I don't know if you guys have finally gotten some bad feedback, but I've had one negative feedback, maybe 2 or 3, but most of it has been quite positive, So it wasn't a very, it wasn't like it wasn't a good measurement of where it was, but I felt it was good enough. But I don't want it to just be good enough. I want it to be better, So that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm sort of thinking, and that's kind of where I'm hoping it goes. Obviously following your guys' lead, with all the amazing stuff that you guys are doing with the network and stuff. So, it's gonna be tough work for me trying to meet up to that standard, but this
bad feedback that was it criticizing you?
Yeah, it was a view. It was a view I had. It was criticizing a view I had about comparing. I was explaining. Oh, that's all right. Now that I bring it all back, so it was a fucking long, like a paragraph long. Like someone messaged me.
So they was it on YouTube?
It was on Instagram. They messaged me. It goes, I think I was comparing like why some immigrants, shouldn't be seen as like. Trying to remember at the top of my head. I think what I had said was I was comparing different immigrants and why some immigrants are so good at sort of acclimatizing and being successful when they move to New Zealand as opposed to some immigrants, And I think I made the comparison of how some islanders migrate here and actually just get on the dole, or just don't really progress as much as compared to other migrants like the Chinese or Indians who come here and they just fucking work their asses off and be successful. And I was trying to say, why can't we do that? And it was more like not shitting on our people. It's more like, what are we not doing right that we are ending up like this as compared to what they're doing? And I kind of rattle off, because the Indians are very close-knit community. They all help each other, they also do this and they work within each other. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the Chinese, they've got a very tight-knit community. And yes, we have a tight-knit community in the Pacific stratosphere, but to a certain degree, we are all kind of out for ourselves. We are here to sort of do our own thing. Yep, I'll help you and if you need to, but I'm not going to fucking invest everything I have, and we're not going to pull as a collective to sort of progress in that sense, not to the degree that these guys are doing it, And I think it was just more just like questioning about what can we do as a people to sort of match that or even do better than that, because we've been fucking here before them. Why are we not sort of running big businesses and doing this and doing that? Is it our mentality? Is it sort of our belief? Is it our own personal sort of low self-esteem? What is it? And then the person kind of just messaged me and says, like, how dare you fucking compare Indians and Chinese to the Pacific people, historical racism. Yeah. I acknowledge all that shit. So if you had listened to it, after, you would have fucking seen that I acknowledge all that shit. But why should that be the only thing that stops us from, like, okay, we've experienced racism. Cool. What now? Do we just become the victim and just agree that we've had racism and sort of just play the victim card for the rest of our lives? No. We use that as a way to sort of say, I'm never going to experience that again, so I'm going to sort of do what I need to do to fucking progress in the world. That's the point I was trying to make. And that person, he had some valid reasons, had some valid sort of points to point out. But I was like, well, none of that tells me how we progress as a people. A lot of people love to point out where we were done wrong, the dawn raids, la, 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 la. And I'm not trying to dismiss that. What I'm trying to say is, have we learned anything from that, and are we using that sort of to move on? Yeah, a lot of people are, but then there's a lot of people that are not. They're more than happy to just sort of play the victim and identify this as something of why I can't do this. But I don't think that's the case. I think we're just capable, if anything, more capable than a lot of other cultures out there that, that progress just as much as we should be, So I don't know. I think that was one of the bigger ones, and all the little ones was like, "Oh, you're an asshole."
You get ones like that?
Yeah, 2 other ones like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't even.
So you must be doing something good then.
That's right.
Because we haven't got any, so we must be doing something wrong.
Well, it's probably me just being insightless, but I was like, I don't think I said anything that bad.
No, but I mean, for people to actually be so personal.
Well, people do. People think it's a personal attack on them when it's really just me trying to figure out what can be done better. And I think it's always it's when I talk about Islanders as a collective, and what can we do to sort of, we have the worst statistics in almost every measurement we have. Fuck. What we should be doing something. what that is, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with someone and you point out what you think is going to be helpful. But don't fucking just tell me, oh, we have these statistics because of historical X, Y, Z. Okay. We've established that. Where do we go from here? That's what I want to know. Where do we go from here? We've established that, acknowledge it, validate it, tied up in a little bow. I've given it to you. I have allowed you to have that point there. What do we do with it now? Nothing. So that's kind of where it was.
These are good topics. Those topics that guy was arguing with you about, those are topics that are, you don't get many people talking about it because they're hard to talk about.
Not that I've heard of.
Exactly.
And it was, and I don't even think that was the main crux of the argument too. I don't think that was like the main point of the conversation. So but people pick out bits and pieces, and that person, I'm not shitting on him. I mean, he's entitled to his opinion, and that's a great thing. He's reached out and he wanted to get clarification, and we ended up in a very good space where he was like, this is my point of view, this is your point of view, okay, this is and then we was like, okay, fair enough, and he made fair enough points, yeah, of course, and maybe I should have acknowledged it a bit more, about why we've ended up in certain situations. Not all of us, obviously, but a significant portion of us, I guess, But it's some people just take everything personal. It's a personal attack on them, and and it's like they like to flaunt their education. Okay, cool.
The story about the Indians and the Chinese reminded me of there was a Friday night. Me and this guy were at Tom's at the liquor store buying beers. Then we were going to buy some pizzas.
Yeah.
Because there's a Domino's there. It's Friday night, right?
Yeah.
Only people working at this Domino's are just Indians.
Yeah.
Like working hard out.
Yeah.
This is like 8:30 on a Friday night. And me and this guy was buying out pizzas, buying out beer.
Yeah.
And we were just joking around saying, man, you'll never see any Islanders working Friday night at a place like this, man.
But that's a thing, right? Is that like a cultural thing? Is that like but that kind of group of people, they have this sense that they need to fucking work.
Exactly.
No job is too low for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And they will fucking work until they've, that's why you see them building houses and starting businesses, because they fucking put the work in, We can do that. We can. We are doing it, but more of us can be doing it.
We can do it, not on Friday night.
No, not when there's beers and pizza that needs to be eaten, bro.
When the Blues are playing. And
fair enough. Okay, there should be a public holiday every time the Blues play. I will give you that, my friend. But you know what I mean? It's like, what are they doing that what's making them successful?
It's all, for me, it's all right to ask the question.
Yeah.
And that's all. Yeah. And I guess, if you already have a view, you're only going to listen out to the bit where your view's going to be valid, where you can argue against. And they might hear, you might have made four great points until you made that point, but because of their view, like, I'm going to disregard all the four stuff. You did say, but I'm gonna ping you on these two or three other points that.
And it's also when you respond, they're not reading or listening to hear your point. They're listening to respond. So for those kind of conversations, I have no time for. Sometimes I'll do it because it's fun. Everyone likes a little argument now and then, but for meaningful shit, nah, you ain't gonna get no meaningful conversation there, because there has to be a loser in that scenario. There has to be a loser. There's no middle ground. Like, ooh, I agree. Let's fucking shake hands. Yeah.
Or
power to the people.
Let's agree to disagree.
There's nothing like that.
It's always gonna be. Yeah, there is. That's the one thing I do hate. Like, because if we're talking with people and you go, okay, I'm not gonna. They're really, they're gonna stand their ground. They truly believe that. I truly believe this. Okay, then, well, that's. Yeah. That's how it is, Let's see how the cards fall, but, when the world falls to pieces.
Hey, man, it could. I always have that backup plan that it may at one point. Who fucking knows? Yeah. Not going to happen anytime soon, I hope. Not until the Blues win another Super Rugby Championship. No. And then once they do, the world can end the next day.
So
done.
We're looking at 2048 then.
Bro, it's next year. Belden Barrett's coming back. We got Roger Tuivasa-Sheck jumping in.
Wow, that's a stacked team, man.
Yeah, I mean, if the Blues always have a stacked team.
Seriously, man, if you don't win it next year with those amount of All Blacks and
I
these
don't know.
kind of guys, man.
Crusaders. constantly look dangerous, bro.
You can. Well, we had, they were the cool thing. The last guest we had on was Tracy Atinga, and she's a huge Crusaders fan, and
Boo.
she was just. But the one thing she did open our eyes to was the academy and the system that they have down there, right? And
and that's why she loves them.
That's why she loves.
Because
it wasn't about
the
the superstars and that, but the way that they built the superstars. They weren't going around buying these guys.
No.
They were bringing them through the system. They were identifying them. And then they just, they didn't bring them up too early.
Yeah.
They just went, you've got to bide your time. You've got to bide your time.
But also earn the jersey too.
Yeah. Like, sometimes I think the Blues and the Chiefs, they can be guilty of, if you're older, if you're good enough, you're old enough kind of mentality, But these guys, they're like, no, you're going to stay there. And unless you're a 1 in a million talent like Dan Carter, because I watched the Dan Carter, see, that's another Amazon Prime. That was one of
Dan Carter documentary.
That was one of the good,
Was it done by an American?
So that was in the first 20. I'm not sure.
Oh, it was done by an American guy, eh?
I'm not sure. But it was really good, really insightful. And he came through just playing with the boys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was never earmarked to be this big thing, I remember there's that story of Brendan McCullum kept him out of the South Island, the reps or something. But, and it was just like, it had a really good, it was really insightful. And then you kind of see the difference between these teams. And it feels like the Blues, they're coming up to par. But you see why the Crusaders are...
Crusaders also pay the refs every game to sort of be favorable for them. No, I can't shit too much on the Crusaders because my cousin's getting married to one of the wingers, so I might get some free gear at some point. Me and my cousins me and all my cousins, most all of them are in Australia at the moment. We're Blues fans through and through. But as soon as we heard that she's getting married to one of the wingers, nah. I don't think I should say. I think I gave winger away too much. Yeah. But I was like, as soon as we heard it's like they're dating even. They're like, hey, can you fucking send us some socks or just some gym bag, like a jersey? Something, Like, listen, we're not proud enough. We're not that proud where we wouldn't accept a fucking training jacket from the Crusaders, Because you can't buy that shit. You can't buy the actual training stuff that they use. So, no, I've got a special place in my heart for the Crusaders. It's Blues, then every other team. No. That will be my second tier.
I've been watching that All Access on Sky. They have one player from each of the franchises. Yeah. Do a little half an hour. Just they film their week, right? And then the last thing they film their game. But it's a good insight into the facilities each of the franchises have. So they go into the headquarters of Crusaders, and that's pretty flashy headquarters. And you look at that, pretty cool. They deserve it. They won all those championships.
Fair enough.
You go to the Chiefs, and it's like a high school gym, like where they are. It's like an old warehouse.
Right next to a paddock, eh? Right next to
a paddock, and they're training on the field, like
with the cows.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like thinking,
broke.
And then you go and then I watched the latest one with Tom Robinson, and he's with the Blues.
Yeah,
you go to the Blues, the Alexandra Park's their headquarters. Flash as all the facilities, everything.
They used to be at Unitech.
Yeah, they used to be at Unitech.
Albert, and that was it.
Yeah, but then I'm thinking, okay, fuck, you guys haven't done nothing the past 10, 15 years.
But it's Auckland, they'll back them with every penny. They think that money's going to sort of fix all their problems when it's a much more deeper thing that I think anyway.
Well, I think what you just said. It's kind of a reflection of the teams or the area. I mean, because when you talk about Waikato Chiefs, man, they're just far. It's a very rural,
Were you about to say they're all farmers?
Yeah, I was going to say that. I said, no, it's my team.
Pull that back.
I'm just saying, they're not, they're not the, Aucklanders, man.
They're the poor cousin of Auckland.
When you think of Auckland, you've got all the flash. They've got to have the best stuff because you're the most populated city in the country. You're the biggest. You've got the biggest catchment. You've got money. The most money's generated out of this area. Of course, it's got to be, up to what the team is. Yeah. So I think, when you look at the Chiefs, you're going to get that because that's all they. They're just they're not a flash facility and they don't all have all the.
They're not the flash facility, but it looks like that.
Simple, mate. You know,
They're a smarter franchise to have these players that can win games.
Yeah.
And even though they lost 12 in a row, but but no,
the first New Zealand team to lose to the Australian the Trans-Tasman rugby competition at the moment.
Yeah,
we won't mention that though.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
the Chiefs have lost that 12 in a row, but they've been above the Blues like years.
Of course,
10
consistently.
years.
They
Consistently,
have won
is the word.
a super championship more recent than the Blues.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
will concede that. And that's the only thing I shall concede. In regards to the Chiefs,
You know when you said how you went and you saw the Blues, and they got the flash facility, and you know what? All I was thinking in my head was like, all the gears, no idea.
you stop. You.
But no, that's what I mean. If you're gonna have so much money to spend on stuff like that, why can't you use the money to spend on the players or the coaches or the
But they do.
systems
That's the
or the
thing.
systems?
You can't talk
to
about
make it happen. You know,
the systems are there. Let's be honest, the Blues are coming up.
They are.
and they're coming up. But over 10 years of having a system that's in the trash.
Well, the facilities are pretty recent. So if they've just moved in, if 10 years time, and they haven't made any noise, then you can go like this. Oh, you've got all that stuff in there, but I mean, you've got to give them a bit of time. It feels like they're in a new.
No, I think this is why the Blues have not fucking been able to get far. We've given them too much fucking slack. Real Blues fans will say, "You fucking suck, and you've been sucking for the last couple fucking years. You need to fucking get your shit straight." Now, if you need a new facility, you fucking got it. If you need to fucking bring some top tier players back, throw $1 million at Bowden Barrett, $1 million at Roger. I was like, fuck, you have them. But they need to start fucking performing.
Exactly.
They need to start fucking
next
performing.
year,
Nah,
that's what
exactly.
I said. If you don't win it next year,
And that's what I'm talking about. That's what this all access thing is. Taught the public that there's inequality here. Look at the Chiefs, look at Crusaders, and look at Blues. Oh fuck! How come the Blues?
Yeah.
The Blues better get a championship.
They better at least make the quarters of the semis. I think at a starting point. They do need to perform. I'm telling you what, it's fucking hard being a Blues supporter. Doing over the years. That's why I don't support the Warriors. I can only support one shitty team at a time. Not in case you guys are like big Warriors fans.
no.
Okay.
You can
Look at that unison. Unison.
You can open that barrel up all you want, mate. I'm not gonna argue with you of any of those valid points. Maybe Tanner and Stacey will.
No, I don't watch league that much.
Around sore backs, but yeah.
But I've got this big thing at the moment with New Zealand sports. That I lately I've been criticizing it, just the way, I don't know, because I'm really a big fan of American sports, and I love all that tribalism stuff. I love the merchandising. I love how people are passionate about their teams and
professionalizing the sport. That's how the Americans have done it. They've made it a profession. New Zealand
that.
sports have only recently made it a profession.
And I love all that. And one of the things I also love about American sports is that what the players earn is public knowledge. Everyone knows what they earn. Everyone knows what the best player on the team.
Yeah.
What he earns. So he better perform. Because if he's making that much money, all the fans will be on his ass about it. And over here it's a secret. Like even the players don't know what each other get.
Yeah.
You can have some idea, but I just think if it was public knowledge, it would be a different story. Players will perform better. Players will want to get that kind of money.
Yeah, I mean, sports is a difficult one because you want to perform, right? And you may have like an amazing career and start off your initial season as amazing, and then the next season you're shit. I mean, I guess that's a valid point because your pay should reflect your performance. Not just your hype. You're hype probably at the beginning, but if you're not performing, $1 million, how about like $500,000? Even though that's a lot of money, but like comparatively to what you used to make, that's fucking cutting your pay right in half. And I don't know whether that's going to make it better. I mean, for New Zealand sports in particular, because we're quite small and we're not really as vast as the Americans one is.
Well, the funny thing is, I listened to another podcast and TJ Prenara was on it because he announced he was coming back. He wasn't going to league. He was going to come back to New Zealand and play Hurricanes again. But he was talking about that also. He was talking about how the players in New Zealand should know what each other earns, so there's something to work towards. If there's someone above them earning,
negotiate as well, give them the
negotiate
negotiating power.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he was speaking about that. Because in Japan, everyone knows how much everyone's earning, and he thought it was, man, if we had this in New Zealand, you know, we can negotiate better. We can, we can compete.
Yeah. I guess it's also just being mindful about the benched players and just how shit. It could go the opposite. You could be like, fuck, I'm only making like 10,000, something a game, and this guy's fucking making like close to like 60,000-70,000 per. I don't know if that's the exact payments that people make, but like it could be very motivating, but it could also be very fucking demoralizing,
Some mental health in there.
Yeah. I'm hiring if you need a mental health expert for the All Blacks. Just call me. No, I mean, yeah. I mean, sports is an interesting thing because it's like it's an entire league on its own. The structure, the way that they pay stuff. Yes, it's a business, but like I think it's very the American one that is very incentivized, right? You have to earn it, and you have to fucking show it consistently every fucking week. Hey, have you seen the TV show Bowlers with The Rock?
The Rock. I never started.
Quite an episode here and there, but
I would. I mean, if especially you can, because you're really into the American sports. It's a very, very good because he's an agent. He starts off as a financial sort of advisor for like top tier sports team, but then he's part of negotiations and stuff like that. It's very, very interesting. Very, very. It's a very good show. Enough to make me binge it. So it's pretty good. I'd highly suggest it. I won't kill it for you, but it's pretty good. Pretty good.
I think someone else had said that too. That if you want to get some ins and outs on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is based on what actually happens. Yeah,
the business side of sport.
It's ruthless, man. Fucking ruthless.
I think in my dealings, like I'm always going to go off the Ari Gold kind of.
Yeah,
that's how our agent really is, Like The Rock in there is probably going to give the nice kind of, happy ending kind of stuff, but Ari Gold, if that's how agents really act, because
it's similar. It's similar.
Yeah.
We're talking about agents with Tracy too, right?
Yeah,
the New Zealand
right.
version. These kids are like looking at the agents like on the movies, and thinking that's what they're getting here with the New Zealand agents.
Yeah.
Nah, it's very different. I don't know. And like I said, New Zealand's a very small market if you think about it in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So it's hard to compare how agents work here with how agents work in the States, because they've got, like millions of dollars on the line. So incentives are different. Negotiation at the table is very different too. And not to mention our sport is not really world. Yes, it is kind of all encompassing, but it's not as big compared to like American football, even though it's not in the world, but American football fucking blitzes us. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, so it's yeah. Blues 2022 Yeah. You heard it here first?
Well, are we not counting this one? This is just the.
No, this is a warm up. This is a warm ups, man.
Look, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but my friend at work, he said to me, "Yeah, man, we're in the final." He said, "Well, you still got a game to play." And he goes, "What? It's at Eden Park." And I said to him, he goes, "And we never leave it. We never lose it at Eden Park." I said, "Bro, I'm gonna rewind it. Let's rewind that one back. There's only one team that doesn't lose it at Eden Park, and they wear black. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the team that you can say, pretty much 99.9% of the time you can go like this. I think we've got this one. When it comes to the Blues, and this is a pressure, pressure game. You have to win this game. And then he's like, "Oh well, we were playing. Who are you playing? The Force or the Rebels?"
It is the Force.
Yeah.
It's Force.
And I said to him, "Oh, yeah. He's pretty, he's pretty gung ho, or pretty, yeah, man." But, I said, "Okay then, but let's look at the last two times you've had must-win games down there, and you've lost them. Yeah, albeit it was the Crusaders, but you still haven't yet to get over that hump of winning a must-win game at Eden Park as the Blues, not the Auckland, not the NPC team, as the Auckland Blues." Well, he's won the final there. He's won the final there, so you have that. But those aren't all the same players. So I said to him, "Don't get ahead of yourself. I hope he's won. For your sake. But on Monday, I'm going to come and I'm going to give it to you because the way you're talking, I would have thought you would have scored for them. You're pretty.
Listen, let us have this. All right. You fucking raining down on our parade. We've been struggling year in, year out. Listen, the Chiefs have already had their moment in the sun. All right, they've won a championship recently.
Okay.
Give this to us.
Okay.
You're making valid fucking reasons, and I get where you're coming from, but stop it.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't need this negative vibe coming into this final. All right, all positive vibes.
Okay.
And listen, I won't count it as real because it's against an Australian team. I want to see us versus the Crusaders in the finals at some point.
If you win this game, you will be playing them in the finals, eh?
No, it depends on the Highlanders.
Yeah, because the Crusaders didn't get a bonus point at their last game. So
what? So what's the scenario here?
I think
if we lose, then Highlanders and Crusaders, one of them have to lose.
Yeah. Yes.
Or if we win.
Well,
Look.
Don't say if we lose, okay? You know, pick
Have
yourself
some-
up. Cheer up, Charlie.
Come on, Cams.
You know?
I can't hold us up just on my own.
You know?
I need a little bit of help here, my friend.
But if you win, use a straight in.
Yeah,
Yep.
if we win, we'll
But
share them.
so the Crusaders.
It will be between
They
the
just have
Crusaders
to
and
win.
Highlanders of their game. Win and probably bonus point or something, wouldn't it? Would they?
Nah, we
Or
just need to win.
No, I mean between the Crusaders and the Highlanders.
Because they're on the same points, but Highlanders are above by points differential, only 11 points.
Right.
So if they
So they just need to win.
If they both get bonus points, Crusaders have to beat their team by more than 11. More than 11 plus the amount that Highlanders
have.
won.
So the Chiefs still have a chance. We have as minuscule as it is.
For Chiefs to win, then
A miracle.
Blues, Highlanders, and Crusaders have to lose with no bonus. Yeah, with no bonus points.
Nah, that's not happening. That's that we'll go back to that game we lost.
Yeah.
That game, and
What do you guys think of the whole structure of the game at the moment?
Oh,
It's a mess, eh? I miss the South Africans being part of the competition.
oh yeah,
I think the Trans-Tasman itself, they got it wrong. I think they got it wrong. If New Zealand, if Australia was competitive,
Yeah.
it would have been a good
Oh, of course.
competition, but then they weren't. So it's been a shit show.
I'm still cracking up at the lead up to this Trans-Tasman comp, where the Australians were saying like, "Oh, the fucking New Zealand teams better watch out. We've improved. Look at the Reds. They're just going to be a threat." First fucking games that we played, fucking brought them down to earth, didn't it? Fucking made them show like we are on. New Zealand competition is on a different. Our shittiest team is fucking beating your top team by like fucking how many points? Although Crusaders barely lost, barely won that game. But it goes to show like there's something in New Zealand that's really just miles beyond what's being provided other places. I mean, Australia has so much more money than us in terms of being able to sort of set up academies and stuff. But I guess that you can say the same about their league. Their league is just fucking.
Our union parallels their NRL.
Yes. So we kind of we traded for that. I'm happy we got the union. They can have the league.
Because over there the clubs, the NRL clubs, they're actual they're like casinos, eh?
they're businesses.
They're businesses.
They're big business.
They're casinos and bars and restaurants.
Well,
a lot of money, I think. A lot of money that goes with it.
I heard, when they talk about Penrith and they talk about their leagues club and the Canterbury, the Bulldogs leagues club, and I remember people telling me that, and the Broncos one as well. You go in, and it's actual. You've got restaurants, bars, they're all connected. So they're the focus of the community. So you can see why when it comes to tribalism, when you talk about tribalism,
it's rampant
there. The clubs room is the epicenter of all that, all that community in there. So you can see why they, especially Bulldogs fans, we're quite nasty when it comes to stuff
but see, in America, the tribalism, America knows this, and that's how they make their money. And so that's why you get the packed houses at the college games, and all the merchandise they get sold. Stuff like that.
The other thing is, but they're all ex-students. So all those people that are at North Carolina, they're either current students or past students. There's probably no one there's no walk up off the street kind of person that doesn't have an affiliation because they either would have had a child that went there or they actually went there themselves.
Yeah, there's some connection to that team in some form. But that's the whole point of the tribalism part.
That's what I mean.
It's not an accident. It's not an accident.
You have to have
They breed
some
that
deeper
kind of,
fucking sort of connection to that team. It's not. I mean, imagine if we, if you transferred that competition and used like the Super Rugby and how much we fucking follow that, and then use that on a schoolboy level. I mean, even schoolboy rugby is so fucking. The crowds are nuts. I mean, it. Of course, there's not enough people because New Zealand's got such a small population, but the passion behind it, fucking people get into fights. The crowd gets into fights. I was at I remember like ages ago when I just finished Auckland Grammar and I went back to watch a game, and it was the game that Auckland Grammar had a massive scrap with Kelston or something like that.
Oh, you still remember that game?
I was there.
Oh, okay.
I was the guy throwing the bottles onto the fucking field and rushing in.
Yeah.
It was but that's like the passion, So put that on a large scale, like American level.
Yeah.
That's what that is what would be amazing. Minus the fights, but
I guess we've always talked about how come it never transfers over to the Super Rugby team. I mean, there's supporters, but it's not to the level of.
Now, if you're an organization, a sports organization, and you wanted to make money, I think over here we rely on government funding, we rely on clubs and stuff like that, but we haven't grasped the idea of relying on the people. And if you want more people to spend money, you got to make them loyal to something. You got to
incentivize the people who follow the teams.
Yeah, and that's what America does.
They play on the emotions. That's why. But they're very good at that. Population makes a difference, though. Like the amount of people that actually go, and at the moment, New Zealand doesn't have that level of population of people who watch it. I mean, even if you've got the entirety of New Zealand to watch it, I mean, like that's what fucking only 4 million. It's not viable at this point. It's what I think anyway. Eventually, when it becomes more professional and America grasps it and really fucking runs with it, it will be. It's going to be growing.
Well, that's another reason to make the salaries transparent. So the kids can see, man, is that how much that guy getting? I can, this is a pathway. And parents will see it. Man, you get that much when you're a professional rugby player?
Because at the moment, people are doing it for passion. They're doing it like, the prestige of the jersey, which is not a bad thing, and it shouldn't be overlooked. But if you really want people going for it, like, I can make $1 million just playing rugby. Fuck yeah, 2 million, 3 million, and then you go to like FIFA level, like 60 million,
NBA level. And
exactly. Oh man,
jeez. We've clocked up 2.5 hours. Are we over the 2.5 hour mark?
Yeah, we are.
Damn. I knew it'd end up this way, but as always, I always enjoy the conversation, boys. It's been great, and it's coming from a guy that's followed you guys for a while. I'm really, really enjoying what you guys have been doing, and so watching you guys grow, and yeah, can't wait to see what more comes your way, and more closer collaboration from my end too. So thanks for having me on again.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, and the other thing, I'm excited, man, and because when you've laid it out, and the thing is, when you see potential, when you see something that you feel is going to work, I think I think the market's the wrong, but there's a calling, or there's a big hole that you're going to be able to fill because people are going to be exposed, and I know that people listening to this one, they're going to be they're going to pick up little things like, oh, okay, I didn't know that, when you were talking about functioning, I mean, about levels of depression or acknowledging it or knowing, just the system is flawed and people need to speak up. And I think that's what your podcast, your unnamed podcast.
Yeah.
No, I think it's good. I think it's really good. And just the platform itself, you being on this platform to have your friend on and talk about what you guys are going to talk about. Podcasting is a niche. It's a niche thing. It's not. To me, it's about longevity. People will eventually catch on because it's a niche thing. And I think if because your topics are going to be specific to mental health in the way where you guys are on the inside, and there's a lot of podcasts out there that talk about mental health that watch it on the outside. Yeah. So you guys might be the first to have that perspective, but that is, to me, being a podcast, being in audio format, is probably the best place for that to happen, because I know you guys will be talking a lot of stuff, and it's also that long form content that is also an alternative. Because if you think about it, like for us, like you said before, like we talked about before, talking about 3 hours, it feels like half an hour.
Oh yeah,
You know.
yeah.
But people do listen.
Yeah.
If people know how to use the technology, how to listen to a podcast.
Mm.
3 hours is nothing. 3 hours is like 4 days.
Yeah.
Half an hour here. You know.
A couple commutes back and forth from work.
Exactly. Exactly. In a thing. But I think that I think with us with having all our guests on, like there's no other medium out there that will get that person to talk for 3 hours.
Nah.
And for people to understand that person, where they come from, the background.
And uncensored too.
Exactly, uncensored. I mean, you can't get that on radio. You can't get it on TV. You know, and I think what you will do with your show when it drops will do exactly that, and it will be good for people.
Yeah, I hope so, and I appreciate it. You know, I'm hoping it's going to be eye opening for one, and informative as well for a lot of things, and you know I was about to say spread awareness, but to some degree, yeah, spread awareness from the degree where you know a different perspective, and maybe you know having one side saying their bit, and then having another side saying their bit, and then finding that middle ground. You know, so I'm excited, and yeah. Watch the space, because it'll be not dropping anytime soon, but it'll be it's in the process, so it'll be out at some point. Yeah. Definitely in the next couple months, which is a long time, but I think I need to make sure this goes well. Smooth transition out. Yeah.
I think they'll be afraid to be technical as well. If you guys, do you think that? Or
What, technical in what sense? What do you mean?
When you talk, when you guys have a topic.
I think I think because we're taught to not talk in nursing terms. Because no one, I mean, if you're explaining it to someone, you don't want to use like nursing terms like PRN and, you know, QID and all this shit where people are like, what the fuck? You know, so, I mean, yeah, we can bring up nursing, you know, like technical terms, but it'll be...
Oh, not terms itself, but actual medication.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, I think so. Because I think it'll
be more educational in that way.
Yeah, but I think we have to also be careful because I don't want it only just to be like for people who understand the lingo. You know, it'll be good to sort of talk about it, but maybe we'll pay some extra attention to explore that and explain that a little bit more. 'Cause I think people would find it interesting, you know. And we don't know everything, you know. I'll premise it with that, and you know, we're not going to be the most smartest people out there talking about this, but it's our experience, and hopefully some people find some good things with it, and some hopefully. Maybe even find some closure for a lot of shit that they've been through in the past, and yeah, I think it's gonna be good. And hopefully find a little niche in the market where we can sort of just slide in there and do what we need to do. So yeah.
Nice, man.
Thanks,
Cool.
brother.
See, bro.
Yeah, man. Fucking hell. Oh, awesome.